For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See. Yah bless everybody to our national and international audience. This is August the 6th, 2022. I know all of you now know, if you didn't, I'll say it again, they have put a strike against us, from the things that I've said about the pandemic, and they struck us off of YouTube for a week. They got us on a 90-day probationary period, which means nothing to me. I'm going to go where y'all leads me. I'm going to speak the truth. I'm not going to be intimidated. And whatever y'all brings to me, I'm going to still talk about. And if we get banned off of YouTube, eventually we just get banned. That, I look at that as y'all's will working through the sword, but I'm not going to be intimidated. Simple as that. As I told Yada this morning, and I've told her before, at some point this is going to end. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that Yah righteousness won't be heard from anymore. It just means that the venue that we're doing now won't exist in that manner. It just moved to something else. Just like we were doing the shows with Mark Sims. As I said in the past, I never asked Mark to do a session. I never asked Mark to do a session. He always asked me. And as I've said in the past, it was times when Mark said, you got something to talk about? And as I told Mark, I always got something to talk about, because it's always something to be revealed. It's always something to underscore. It's always something to keep magnifying in ways of pulling the covers off of these lies and the deception, the darkness that persists, and that the illuminated Edomites and those who are with them constantly pervade to the people of the world, to try to keep the people in darkness, to try to keep the people from seeing actually what's going on. Okay? I mean, like yesterday, we were listening to Daniela Camboni on her show, Stansbury, and she had interview with Gerald Salente. And she asked Gerald Salente, what do you think about the jobs report? I don't know if all of you heard it, but they came out here the other day with the jobs report. Supposedly it was 528,000 jobs created. And we know that's a lie. Okay? That's a total lie. You got jobs that are being filled, that were vacated, that were shut down when the pandemic came into being in 2020. You've got, as Gerald Salente said to Daniela Camboni, you've got many jobs that never come back. He cited again New York and Manhattan, and how the many businesses are closed down to this day. They never open back up. You got a lot of buildings that used to have offices. They don't exist anymore, those offices. Many space for rent, for lease, to be purchased. And when these businesses shut down, they have a domino effect on other businesses. I mean, we see that here in Chicago. Okay? It's just like they say Chicago Transit Authority, has put forth how the Chicago Transit ridership is down across the city here in Chicago. So again, why is that? It's because you don't have that many people before February, March of 2020, who were working then, and many of those people have never gotten those jobs back, and they never will get them again. And like I said, there's many businesses that have shut down, not only in New York, not only in Chicago, not only here in America, but similar things has happened over in Western Europe for sure. That's what the Germans are so upset about in regards to this Ukrainian situation that the Illuminated Edomite has pushed to the precipice, where Russia, to protect itself, and the Illuminated Edomite that basically runs Russia now, again, it could be all coordinated by the Illuminated Edomites to bring these nations into conflict and to bring the people of the earth into these dire situations of no food, no jobs, and bringing in economic collapse on many people to impoverish them, like similar to the time of YHWH, right? And that was from Yah. And again, the sword only moves when Yah moves it. Okay? I was just on the phone talking, Shalom and I were talking, and he brought me some things about this person, what this person had brought to him. And, you know what I'm saying? People who claim that they're about the Creator, but allow themselves to be intimidated, to take a shot, to submit to the Illuminated Edomites' will to whatever extent, but they're supposed to be about the Creator. Whether they're into Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever ism, you got different Israelites who say they're about Yah, or whatever they call the Creator, whatever name they apply to the Creator. And again, he only has one name, and it's Yah, he who creates. Just like, again, when they say Alleluia, some people say hallelujah, but as I've said in the past, I've never seen the halal. I've seen Alleluia, right? But even if they say hallelujah, Yah's on the end, right? They say it, but they still will come back and say that the Creator's name is Yahuwah, Yahweh, 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 or they spell it Yah, they'll spell it Y-A-H. And as we said in the past, that's the phonetic pronunciation, even though they're leaving off an H, is really phonetically Y-A-H-H. But nevertheless, people allow themselves to be intimidated, even though they claim that they're about the Creator. They come up with reasons why they do, they allow themselves to be intimidated. If you, like I said, if you don't take the shot, you won't work. If you don't take the shot, you can't go here, you can't go there, right? And they take these shots, and then something happens. Now, again, as I've said in the past, they're not giving everybody the same shot. You know what I'm saying? Different shots do different things, right? Some shots might give you an aneurysm, you have a stroke, or blood clots, right? Some shots will give you AIBD, and autoimmune blistering disease. That's the Pfizer shot, from what I'm pretty, I think it was Rivka put that up the other month in the room. But we know these shots are not conducive for humanity, and there's plenty of people who know that. Okay, plenty of people, many Caucasians, quote unquote pale-faced people, they know the shots are not good. They refuse to take them. They're not going to be intimidated. That's why you have so many jobs that are open. Okay, that's why you have, one of the reasons why you have so many planes are not flying. Okay, so that's always been. God bless Rivka for putting that back up for those who didn't see it. Again, you know, you've got many people who refuse to be intimidated. And those of us who are about Yah, we're supposed to have that helmet of salvation upon our head, which is the faith in Yah, unequivocal faith. You know, as I was talking to Shalom a little while ago, and the way the conversation went, you know, you know what he said this person said to him, and I was like, yeah, you know, they're supposed to be about the Creator, but they're not exhibiting that they're about the Creator. When they talk about, you know, they got to go to work or they got to have a job, again, if Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah had looked at it that way, right, Yah wouldn't have been anointed through them in the sight of Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans, where we could read about it today in the book of Daniel, correct? If Daniel had looked at it that way, Yah wouldn't have been anointed through him when he was lowered into the lion's den, right? If Dawid had looked at it that way, Goliath probably still would have been talking blaspheming the name of Yah, right, as he had done for those previous 39 days. But on the 40th day, right, when Dawid had been sent to bring victuals to his brothers in the army of Israel, and he heard Goliath talking like this, what did he say? I'll kill him, blaspheming Yah like this, right? And then what did Dawid tell Goliath? You know, Yah is going to give you into my hands this day, and I'm going to take your head from you, and all the inhabitants of the earth, all the nations are going to know that Yah is he who creates. He's the king, the creator, the father, the most high, and that there is none else. So this has always been the illuminated Edomites and those who are extensions of them, to always try to intimidate, right? I mean, we see in Daniel chapter 11, what is that, 38, 39 verse? In their stronghold, they shall worship the idol of forces, weaponry, right? We see this with the original Esau, when he realized that and found out that Jacob had gotten the blessing that he wanted, that he didn't deserve, that he never was going to get anyway. And this was foretold when the boys were in the womb, right? When he realized that he, you know, Jacob had got the blessing, and then the blessing that he got was to one day get the dominion. But as I've said in the past, Isaac told him, but your dominion is not going to last, and you're going to come back up under your brother forever. But also Isaac told him that's what the Illuminists took out of the book, right? And again, we know that had to be said, right? Because Esau, the original Esau, hated his blessing. And what did he say? When the days of our father, you know, when he transitions, I'm going to kill Jacob. Again, resorting to what they really worship in their heart, the sword, weaponry. I mean, we see the same thing today. I know many of you probably heard what happened to our brothers and sisters yesterday, but it happens to them just basically every day over in the land of Israel, Gaza, the West Bank, right? The Edomites, the Israeli Edomites, right, bombed Gaza yesterday, and they attacked West Bank because, you know, they're so arrogant and full of themselves, just like Goliath was, right? Like I said, you know, for 39 days, Goliath came up and spoke against Yah and said to Israel, send out your champion, right? And the longer that ensued, the more braggadocio, the more arrogant, the more blasphemous, you know, Goliath became, right? And that's the same thing with these illuminated Edomites today that we see in the one chapter of Obadiah, right? What did Yah say? You know, their pride and arrogance have deceived them. We see the same thing in the 47th chapter of Yeshaya, right? Talking about the door of Babylon, talking about these illuminated Edomites that, and again, it could be just the one family there that runs this door of Babylon, right? How their pride and arrogance, you know, have deceived them, have misled them, right? And again, we know what the wisest man ever and ever would be said in Proverbs: pride goes before a fall. And so now we are witnessing the crumbling and the destruction of this fourth dominion of man. Again, this diversified dominion, of which the illuminated Amalekite International Bank and Edomites were to rise to the dominion of the world. And they've done that. They've had it now, from what I can see, even though it's diversified, it's Amalekite Edomites that have the dominion, but it's diversified amongst them. Possibly 4 families, maybe 5, maybe 6. I only see basically 4. The Oppenheimers, the Schiffs, the Rothschilds, and the Warburgs. But again, it's diversified. They've got the dominion, and now it's crumbling. Okay, it's coming loose at the seams, more and more and more every day. And because the way of the Most High is here, been here now for some years. Yah's been bringing out the illumination, the profoundest understanding, clarity of his word. I'm not saying we've got it all yet, because we know we don't. Yah keeps revealing things more and more all the time in a greater depth. Just like I said in this session about how YHWH Hadassah brought out about the sacrifices for those, again, you know, who claim, well, you can't do any sacrifices now. That's not true. Okay, again, Psalms 4, you see, verse 5, you see the sacrifice of righteousness, right? When we turn and embrace the law with all our heart and soul. Yah's righteousness, the only righteousness. Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts. That's an offering, a sacrifice. When we see in the 51st chapter of Psalms, right? A broken heart, contrite heart, a broken spirit, right? Those are sacrifices. Because when, just like I said in the session, when Nehemiah, when he was told the duress, the hardships that those of the children of Israel that were still in the land at that time, you know, 445 BCE, what they were under, what they were going through. And his heart was contrite. It was broken because he was sad, you know, when he heard this. Like, we're sad when we hear what happens to our brothers and sisters in this country, to our brothers and sisters in Europe, to our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel, the so-called Palestinians, those of the Dimona movement, right? Sodom and her daughters, Ezekiel 16. Samaria and her daughters, Ezekiel 16, that lie at the right and left hand of Jerusalem. When we hear what happens to them, when we hear what they're going through, we're brokenhearted because of what we hear. When we see the Sandra Blands and the Breonna Taylors and the Trayvon Martins and the Tamir Rices and the Sean Bells and Eric Garners and Michael Scotts and Samuel DuBose, I could go on and on and on, the Oscar Grants, I can't name them all, right? When we see the Shireen Abu Aklahs, right, getting shot down, right, by the Edomites over in the land, the Wajra, what's her name, I can't remember the other sister I mentioned here the other month, she was 31, a journalist, so-called Palestinian, she got shot down, 31 years old journalist, the Edomite shot her down. You know, we're brokenhearted, you know about that. When we hear how different brothers and sisters, Israelites of the Dimona movement have joined the army of the Edomites and being sent against their own brothers and sisters, the so-called Palestinians, right? Brokenhearted, right? When we hear about how Israelites are homeless, like I saw yesterday, right? When I was coming back from downtown Chicago, and I came down Harrison Street, you understand, and I made this turn and going up under the viaduct, and there are all of these tents where people are living in. I'm talking about from one end of the viaduct to the other, okay? It's a mess. I mean, they right next to each other. Can't even find, you can't even see where they can walk on the sidewalk. Okay? You see the young sisters I saw yesterday, matter of fact, Thursday, out, you know, when at the stoplight, how they, you know, come out in the middle of the traffic at the stoplight, do a little jig, and they're asking, they got buckets, asking for donations for their dance class. I'm heartbroken. You know, I give it, you know, drop some money in the bucket because that keeps them occupied. You know, possibly that might keep them from, you know, getting out here doing something crazy, even though, you know they're ensconced in craziness all around them. Okay. You know, the drug house just got shut down here a few days ago. That's catty-cornered to the building. I mentioned it in the past. They had a fire in the building. The fire department came and they ended up moving all of the squatters out of that building. You know, and so now at least I don't have to see the parade of drug addicts, brothers and sisters and Caucasian palefaces coming to get drugs all day long. And getting heroin, because I could tell the clientele, I know that's what they were selling. Now that's been shut down. They got to move someplace else, but at least, you know, we don't have to see it. Traipsing back and forth all through the day, morning, afternoon, night. Okay? That got shut down. But again, they're still drug addicts. You follow what I'm saying? They're just going to move and try to get the drug from someplace else. When I see that, I'm heartbroken. You see what I'm saying? When I hear about the young brothers getting shot, when I see the young brothers carjacking, right? When I hear about the you know, brothers and sisters sitting in the car and somebody pulls up and shoots them, just like what happened yesterday. Shot the 35-year-old brother, killed him dead, wounded, critically wounded the sister sitting in the car with him. I'm heartbroken. You see what I'm saying? We're heartbroken all the time. But mainly I'm heartbroken because of the indifference that I see that brothers and sisters, as I said in this session, who I've known 35, 45, 50, 60 years and better, almost 65 years, the indifference that they show. Okay? When I've given them flyers in the past, 2004, when I've had conversations with my guy and he pushed the buttons and I was able to tell him, you know, what we're about, but the indifference. You follow me? I'm brokenhearted. All these things are sacrifices to Yah. When we see what's happening to us, what has happened to us. When I think about our forefathers and what they actually did, how they turned their back on Yah and wanted to be like the heathen, I'm brokenhearted. When I think about the sins and the transgressions that I've committed, in my life, I'm brokenhearted and a contrite, humble spirit. And like y'all said, you know, you loathe yourself in your own eyes. All of these things lets me see the importance and makes me understand the importance of why Yah must be submitted to. He must be obeyed. He must be uplifted and magnified. And this is what the illuminated Edomites try to stop. This is why they come with the intimidation. We're going to strike you from the stream. You're not going to be on YouTube. Well, strike us. Because I'm never going to stop talking about the truth. Simple as that. And if Yah allows them to strike us, to ban us, then we're just struck, we're just banned. But I'm going to talk about the truth forever. And if they don't like it, they can lump it, take it down the street and dump it. Because they're not going to shut me up. Simple as that. People push the buttons on me, I'm going to speak the truth. Simple as that. As Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah said, I'm not careful in answering you in this. Like I said to Yada this morning, you know, everything comes to an end except Yah. He's the only one that's eternal. And I understood that eventually at some point, this has got to come to an end. But that doesn't mean it's going to stop. Okay? Because as long as I'm alive, I'm going to uplift and magnify Yah in every way possible. In words, in deeds, in actions, in thoughts. This is about Yah righteousness, the King. He's the power. He's the creator. He's the father. Simple as that. And you understand? I refuse to be intimidated. I don't care. Like I've said to all of you in the past, when it gets to the point when people say they've got enough, and now we see this in the nations of the earth, they're rising up against these illuminated Edomites. Now, most of them don't know just who they rising up against, okay? But they're refusing to be intimidated. And I say that in regards to these nations who rising up against America, the daughter of Babylon, the United States of America. They refuse to be intimidated. That's why now many of these nations, and I mean many of them, they're going over to China, to Russia, to Brazil, to India, to South Africa. When I say that, I didn't say it in order, but in actuality, the BRIC nations, the BRICS, because they're setting up a new economic system. Now, when I say this, this is still the illuminated Edomites who are doing this, okay? This Asian bank that they're setting up, this basket of currencies they're setting up, it's not salvation. But what we're seeing is a destruction, a more collapse and pulling away from this system that had been established back there in 44, 45. You know, the Bretton Woods Agreement, and this dollar being the king of currencies. Okay? Because now they're tearing apart. Recompense. You must get back what you put out. Okay? Recompense. Whether it's good or evil, you're going to get recompensed. See? And now is the time for these illuminated Amalekite international banking Edomites and the Edomites as a nation to get recompensed. Now, you've got some Edomites, they're not in harmony with these international banking Edomites. They're not in harmony with Zionism. And as I've said in the past, it's a good possibility that the descendants of Esau who will survive this conflagration, will survive Yah's judgment, their children will transition over into the dominion of Yah. That third generation, Deuteronomy 23. But these Edomites who are Zionists, these Edomites who are in harmony with these international banking, Amalekite, Edomites, they're systematically going to be removed from the face of the earth. That's what's going on. Okay, again, Daniel chapter 2. The stone hit, as I see it, when the monarchies got sprinkled. That was, next month will be 18 years when the monarchies were sprinkled with the publication. Because I sprinkled should I say, we sprinkled them September 28 in 2004. And it was the same month that I gave many of these people that I mentioned at the memorial back in June, at the funeral and wake and repast of my guy's father, and I should say my guys, I make that plural because I'm including his brothers too. As they've told me, the younger brothers, you like our brother, YHWH. And I look at them the same way. They're like my brothers to this day. And many of them that were at the repast for their father, I had given them flyers, you know, back in August 2004. Matter of fact, it was in August. I'm pretty sure it was August. It wasn't September. We sprinkled the monarchies in September with the flyers that you have seen to this day, because we had the first set of flyers, and as I said in the session, and as I've said in the past, I added some things, you know, between that flyer and the flyer we actually send out today and sent to the monarchies back there in September 04. So it's been 18 years. Like I said, this month, when those sisters and some brothers, you understand, that were at the repast here last month, I gave it to them. So they know, you know, what, as I said, what we're about. They might not truly understand it, which I doubt if they do, but they know about it. Like I said, that's why those who said, oh, YHWH, you look so good, but none of them said, what do you do? Because they all know, to whatever extent that they've investigated and seeing what we're doing. But again, you know, as it says in 42:17, Yeshaya, those who have idols in their heart, they're going to be turned back. We see this constantly with you know, Israelites who know they're Israel. Okay? We've seen this through the years. I've said in the past, we're going to see some more of it. You know, you got Israelites who know the truth, exhibited a total committance, you know what I'm saying, to Yah, but at some point, you know, they get purged out because of what's in their heart. You know, whatever that may be, you know, that's in their heart. And Yah purges them out. Again, you know, Yeshaya 49, right? Jerusalem, you know, we thought we were leaving out. It didn't happen. What did Yah say? I haven't forgotten about you. Your walls are engraved upon the palms of my hand. They are continually before me, right? Ezekiel 16:59-63. But I'm going to deal with you, the Jerusalem movement, in a way because how your forefathers dealt with me, right? And we see that deceitfully our forefathers dealt with Yah, right? Until it got to the point in 11:15, Ezekiel, what did Jerusalem say? Get far away from Yah. That's what they told Israel. Get far away from Yah, for this land is given into our hand as a possession. We don't need the king anymore. We don't need he who creates anymore. We can do what we want to do, right? So Yah is not going to allow anyone to return with him when he returns to Jerusalem in the sight of everybody on the earth. Yeshaya chapter 52, who's not totally committed and submitted with all their heart and all their soul to him. Okay? It's just that simple. That's what we're witnessing. Again, Daniel chapter 2, this fourth dominion is crumbling more and more and more every day. It's coming loose at the seams. And it's nothing that the illuminated Amalekite Edomites can do about it, and it's nothing anybody else can do about it. The way of Yah is here, it's been here, it's burgeoning. We're getting stronger by the second in Yah, because knowledge is power. And Yah invigorates those of us whose heart is one with him with an unrelenting spirit. He strengthens our heart. He strengthens our resolve. He strengthens our spirit. He gives us more illumination to see things in a greater depth, a greater understanding, which strengthens our commitment. The way of Yah is burgeoning, it's growing. It's not going anywhere. Eventually, Yah is going to rule this earth. Simple as that. The king is going to reside in Jerusalem, in his temple. Nothing can stop that. Now it's only to see who's going to remain on this earth with him. That's Israelites, Hamites, Shemites, Yaphites, Edomites. Who's going to remain on this earth with him? Who can actually submit, commit, embrace Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts with all their heart and all their soul? That is the deciding factor, per se. That's it. So quite naturally, the illuminated Edomites, they see this. So here they come with the ban, the strike. You know, we're under 3-month probation. You can't say this, you can't say that. Okay, so that's not going to stop me. I'm going to go wherever Yah leads me. And I'm going to say whatever he brings to my heart, to my lips, my tongue, to say. And if they don't like it, that's tough. They ain't supposed to like it. Okay? It's just that simple. All right? Yeshua chapter 28, they're not supposed to like it. Okay? If they liked it, then I knew I wouldn't be speaking the truth. I wouldn't be doing what Yah wants me to do. So I don't care. You know what I mean? I look at it, if Yah moves them to do that, then Yah will open up another venue. Simple as that. He runs the show. They don't. See? And when we listen to RT International, this is the kind of mindset that Peter Lavelle on Crosstalk, him and the different people generally he brings on his show, they all saying it. And you've got Caucasians here, you know, in America, you know, that they see that, for instance, America, right? The time of America's hegemony is over. And they're like saying, hey, they, you know, America better, you know, they better wake up, smell the roses, right? They better smell the flowers, because it's over with. America's hegemony is kaput. Okay? And so they're bellowing and blustering, and, you know, they've got masses of people in the world afraid that it's going to be a nuclear war at any time. That's what people are afraid of. Okay? That's what a lot of people are talking about. This new nuclear war that's coming. And they're thinking it can come at any time. They don't understand what Yah has revealed to us. That, yeah, the nuclear war is coming. The fire is coming. But it can't happen until the Edomites in the land of Israel, who claim to be Israel, are run out and judged in their land, made like the burnings of wine, right? And the elite of the earth humble themselves. Okay? The Leviathan, Yeshua 27, is humble, going to make peace with Yah in his arm. He's going to cause the vineyard of red wine to take root in Jerusalem, right? And the monarchies that have been sprinkled without question are going to come to the movement of the Creator in total submission. Yeshua 49, Yeshua chapter 60, right? That's why they had to be sprinkled. Yeshua chapter 52 at the back end, right? Daniel 7 verse 13. They're going to come and get the movement of the Most High and they're going to bring it to Yah, with Yah on the head of it, and he at our rearward, with the whole world watching. That's Yah's anointing and consecration by his holy name in the sight of everybody on the earth. Okay? Again, and then, right, the temple has to be built after Jerusalem is cleansed of all idolatry. Right? Jerusalem has to be cleansed of all idolatry. And that's when Yah's temple will begin to be built. And when it's completed, then just like in the time of Solomon, Yah will come into his temple and reside on earth in the midst of the children of Israel, ruling the earth forever. And then again, after Yah comes into his holy temple, within that first year, you're going to get the second and last gathering. People going to come from the four corners of the earth, Israelites and other people of other nationalities. The blind, the lame, the sick, the woman with child, right? Coming to he who creates. You follow me? That's the second and last gathering, right? And then 2 to 3 years after that, that's when we're going to get the nuclear war. And this country that we're sitting in right now, the United States of America, the daughter of Babylon, she's going to initiate. You know, Yeshaya chapter 14. It's really 13 and 14, right? But it lets you know in chapter 14, this is the country that's going to start the nuclear war. And we can see that lining up, right? Like y'all said in 5051 Yeremiah, right? All the nations of the earth are going to be against this nation. No nation is going to be with it. Even its mother is going to be confounded. That's Britain, England. And we see this lining up, right? Because these nations that have been beat down, abused, misused, lied to, deceived, bombed, right? Genocidal acts perpetrated against these nations through the years. They're lining up with Russia, China, Brazil, India, South Africa. They're going over into this BRICS, you know, Asian banking system. Okay? And it's nothing that America can do about it. Now, you know, whether we, you know, if the Rothschilds are part of this, which they very well could be, again, we know that these illuminated Edomites have constantly brought nations into conflict. I mean, like I said, they started developing that dialectic back in the latter part of the third dominion of man in the Greek dominion. That's what it's talking about in Daniel chapter 8, right? In the last days, latter days of this third dominion, this Greek dominion, right? When the transgressors have come to the full, right? And it leads into talking about Antioch's Epiphanes. Okay? But again, that's when they started developing this divide and conquer, right? Of which the fourth dominion is the diversified dominion. The same idols that existed, and came into being during this fourth dominion of man, the same idols exist today, right? This Christianity, Islam, right? They still exist today. That's your two main idols today, right? And then I would say right behind that, it could be Judaism, which again started to derive in the latter part of the third dominion, right? It started out as Hasidism and now it's evolved into Judaism. But you got a plethora of, you know, idolatrous religions going on. But the two main ones, right, Christianity, Islam, right, to this day, they still exist, right? So, you follow me? This is where I see where we are. This fourth dominion is coming loose at the seams. It's crumbling more and more and more every second of every day. Nothing can stop it. The movement of the Creator again, is burgeoning. Again, as I said in the past, this is not about quantity, it's about quality. Yah is steadily bringing more and more illumination to and through his movement. Called by his name, predicated on his laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts. Nothing can stop that. Yah's not going to stop that. As I said in this session, I've said before, it's just like, you know, he's brought that Zechariah chapter 5. He'll call, he's like, he said, I think this roll is the nuclear bomb. And boy, when he said that, I said, yeah, that's it. Okay, that's the nuclear bomb. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when Jacob and Hadassah, you know, with the sacrifices, you know, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's it. You know, we've been doing it all the time. And like I said, having broken heart, contrite spirits, praising Yah, all of these are offerings, sacrifices. But again, it's something when it really hits you, you know what I mean? And you can see a thing when it jumps out at you, okay? And Yah has done this, you know, just like Yosha brought about how he said, it's probably 322, you know, that Skull and Bones, American Secret Establishment, Skull and Bones 322, that's probably when they actually, you know, started to set this thing up right. The year after they murdered Alexander, you know, the first king of Grecia, you know, the great horn in the head of the he-goat, Daniel chapter 7, right? So it's just more and more illumination that Yah brings to and through his movement for us to see this picture that is presented to us from Genesis to Malachi in the book of remembrance, the so-called Old Testament. Just to see this picture in clarity, in its greatest depth, so we can truly underscore and understand that Yah is he who creates. He's the creator, he's the most high, and he is at work. Okay? And as he said, you know, in the days of these kings, when they mingled themselves with the seed of men, again, you know, in the past, I kind of had that skewed, you know, when they mingle seed, I said, but it's actually when they mingle themselves with the seed of men, talking about Israel. See, when Yah could be found, but who's actually of the children of Israel has really sought Yah with all their heart and all their soul. Because Yah, like Yah says in the 45th chapter of Yeshaya, if you really seeking him, he gonna let you find it. Now, once you found it, what are you gonna do? See, what are you gonna do when you really find him? Are you gonna read, study, pray, and do? Are you gonna really read this book, which is the New Covenant, Jeremiah 31:31? Everybody got to read this text. It's not going to be anybody to say, eventually, do you know Yah? Because everybody that's going to be left on this earth after the conflagration is going to know Yah. They're going to know his laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts. Because the book is everywhere. Okay? You follow me? Like Shalom just said to me, he said, you know, this new doctor I got, he said, I'm pretty sure he's an Edomite. He said, and he asked me, you know, you still working with your blood, you know, your diabetes? He said, yeah, I'm still working with it. And he said, yeah. He said, okay, that's good. And then he said, well, you know, you know, we got some shots for you to take. It was like about 5 shots, and in that is the, you know, the COVID shots, right? And when he ran it down to Shalom said, he's like, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking them shots. I don't need no shots for ammonia, and I don't need none of them shots. And so the doctor said, why not? He said, you know, he said, well, yeah, it's my strength and shield. Like, you know, he's getting me better. And he said, the doctor looked at him and said, where'd you hear about that? Okay, you follow me? Shalom said, oh, well, you know, I read the book of remembrance. He said, what? Shalom said, I read the book of remembrance. He said that anybody told him, said, well, you know, well then, you know, Solomon said you ain't supposed to read a lot of books. you ain't supposed to do a lot of reading in the book. That's what he said. That's how he interpreted. You ain't supposed to do a lot of reading in the book. Shem said, well, it don't say it like that. He said he ain't talking about his word. Okay? You follow what I'm saying? And he said that he said he was looking at him. He said he was messed up. I said, yeah, you right. He an Edomite. You understand? Last name is Galitz. I said, yeah, Galitsky. He took the ski out. You know what I mean? We laugh. Again, see, because, you know, when they actually hear it, it shocks them. Because they're not used to hearing any Israelite magnify the name of Yah. Or know anything about he who creates. See? And it's shocking. But you know, like I said to Cheryl, yeah, but he's supposed to be shocked. That's Yeshaya chapter 28, right? You follow me? Is the cover gonna be too narrow that they can wrap themselves up in, the bed shorter than they can stretch out on? They can't hide anymore. Okay? They getting revealed. Right? Like the one chapter by Yahweh, thy hidden things, secret things, sought up and searched out, O Esau. It's all by the hand of Yah. It's all like Yah says in chapter 4 of Zechariah, not by power, nor by might, but by my spirit, saith Yah. And that's how he inseminates this illumination into us. By his spirit. And he does that to those of us, again, he allows us to understand by his spirit. And he does that for those of us who are totally committed and submitted with all our heart and all our soul. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2. That's what's going on. Nothing can stop it. This is by the hand of Yah, the will of Yah, the spirit of Yah. Nothing can stop it. This is the time of Yah, as he said in Daniel chapter 2, right? In the days of these kings, when Israel is who he's talking about, starts to mingle themselves with the seed of men, I'm going to start setting up my dominion, the everlasting dominion. Huh? Micah chapter 4, the first dominion, because that's the first dominion on earth was Yah's dominion. Now it's come full circle. And he's setting up his dominion, the everlasting dominion. Okay? Nothing can stop it. Nobody can stop it. That's why I've said in the past, this is not about quantity, it's about quality. Okay? Because again, we're in the fishing period. Right? Again, 55 Yeshaya. Right? What does Yah say? Come unto me while I can be found. You know what I'm saying? Who's hungry? Come eat, drink, buy milk, buy wine, buy bread without money. Why do you spend your money for that which, you understand, feeds you not, which is not bread, which is not true food? And he ain't talking about literal wine and meat and food. You know, he's talking about this word. You follow me? Isn't that what Moshe said? You understand, in the book of Deuteronomy? To our forefathers who, you know, were under 20 years old, when Yah said, you understand, I'm gonna march you around in this wilderness for 40 years, each year for a day, that the princes went to spy out the land. And now, because you have no faith in me, children without faith, right? I'm gonna march you around in this wilderness for 40 years until I kill off all this generation that had no faith in me, that were adverse to me. And I'm going to bring your children in, right? So now, when you had those children who were like, they were like, 59 and 12 months and 27 days, you know what I mean? And down, right? Except for Eleazar, possibly his wife, Phineas, his wife, right? YHWH, his wife, right? Caleb, his wife, and possibly if they had any children who was old, which they might not, but at the same time, their houses went in, right? Because they had faith, unequivocal faith in Yah, right? So what did Moshe tell them, right? At the end of the 40 years, Yah has marched you around this wilderness for 40 years, right? Your shoes have not waxed old on your feet, Your clothes have not waxed old on your back. He fed you with angels' food, right? Bread from heaven, manna, right? And why? So that you could understand that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of he who creates, YHWH of hosts, the King. And that's why he's been working with this movement through the years, refining us, all of us, purging us of the ways of the heathen, purging us of perverseness, perverse words, perverse thoughts. We've been cleansing, those of us who have laid these words to heart, cleansing, you know, taking herbal teas. I saw that earlier, what you was talking about, right? Taking psyllium husk, cleansing yourself internally, letting go of the things that are unclean. And again, those things in the waters that Yah says that we can eat that have fins and scales, they can eat unclean things, but if they got fins and scales, and again, as I said in regards to the tuna, if their body is covered with scales, then they're okay. And it's only 2 tuna fish that had that, from what I understand. The bluefin tuna and the albacore. The the yellowfin and the jackfin, they don't have full body coverage in scale. So now their bodies are open to attack, infestation by parasites. I wouldn't fool with them at all. But again, like I said in this session, you get something in the can, you get something out, you don't know if it's the bluefin tuna. You probably could tell if it's the bluefin tuna because it costs so much. But like I said, you know, I don't think that's a lot of places would have that anyway, right? That bluefin tuna is very expensive from what I understand. Okay? And the albacore, again, you know, are these places going to tell you it's albacore? Can you trust them? No, you can't trust them. So again, you know, me, myself, here in my house, we're going to still leave tuna alone. Okay? But now those of you who might be on the other side of the earth that might, you know, have heard, you know, we talk about tuna in the past, but, you know, now you hear about bluefin or albacore, you know these fish for a fact, you can discern them. You want to eat that, fine. You know what I mean? They're clean. Any fish that has, you know, I would say full body scale coverage and fins, it makes no difference what they eat. That's why Yah said it's got to have fins and scales. And I will say full body scale coverage. If it has that, like the flounder, you can eat it. Makes no difference if they're bottom feeders. Okay? Simple as that. Because they've got, Yah said they're okay. But I would also say full body scale coverage, not partial. And from what I understand, the flounder has that. So it's okay. Okay? No matter what they eat. Okay? That's the guideline. So, you know, where we're supposed to be. And when I say that, that doesn't mean that knowledge has stopped. Quite the opposite. I'm always ready to learn. I'm always ready to grow. I pray, Yada and myself and all of you out there. That's why when people call, I listen. And, you know, Yah generally has me where I can receive and understand fairly quick. Okay? Because my mind, my heart is always in the book. I might not have it open, but my mind and my heart is always in the book. I meditate on it every day, no matter what. So again, you know, where we're supposed to be right now. We want to be with Yah. We always look at Yah's preparing us for the time to come, so that we can rise to the occasion in any and all situations to represent Yah as we're supposed to do, unequivocally, steadfastly, humbly, righteously, justly. You know, with no arrogance, no egotism, no haughtiness, no pride. And with honor, but humbly. So I've got, and for those of you out there, I can't find it. How do you spell scrontium? I know it's probably one of you out there that knows about scrontium, how to spell it, because I'm not spelling it, I can't find it. I found barium, you know, I know about aluminum, and I know those are metals, and I'm pretty sure scrontium is a metal too. And in a little while, I'll tell you why I'm asking. But that's what's in chemtrails, right? Scrontium, barium, and aluminum. But I got an article here. Okay, so Yada found it. STRONTIUM. That's why it was an ST. Strontium. I was saying strontium. Strontium. Okay, I got it. God bless. Strontium. Again, a metal, right? Strontium. And, you know, because here the other night, you know, Shalom and myself, we were talking, and he asked me, he said, what does this mean when it said the heavens shall melt? You know, and yeah, it immediately popped into my head. You know, we know we got chemtrails all in the air. Well, these is metals, right? Strontium, barium, aluminum. And so they're really superfine particles. You can't see it with the naked eye unless it's, you know, unless they're conjugated, you know, like when they first come out the back of the jet, you can see them. But as they dissipate throughout the atmosphere, they become, you know, you can't actually see them with the naked eye. But we know, you understand what I'm saying, that the atmosphere is filled with these little fine microscopic pieces of metal. All right, so when this nuclear war comes and that fire, that intense heat is going to melt all that, and then y'all's going to open the windows, Yeshua chapter 24, and let all that out. See what I'm saying? He's going to let all that out when he opens the windows during the nuclear war. Okay? So he's going to melt the heavens. You know what I mean? Because all this junk is in the air. That's why, again, no matter what we do, we can't get clean. You know, like what y'all told Ezekiel. You understand? Though we use much niter and soap, we're not going to be able to get clean. Though we eat organic as best we can and whatnot and all of that, you understand what I'm saying? All that's good. I'm not saying not to do it, but again, we can't get clean. That's another reason why we got to get home. We got to get to the land. We see in Zechariah 13:1, Yah's going to cleanse our blood that has not been cleansed. It's not going to happen until we get to that point. See, so we've got all these incentives, you follow me, to serve Yah. Again, you know, it's just like, you know, these people that I talked about today, I've talked about in the past, I've known for years, many of them are Christians, right? You get most of these Christians, I know all of you out there just about possibly Muslims, they all talk about the afterlife. They're going to live forever. They want the afterlife, right? Well, there's no such thing. That's a bunch of nonsense, right? The everlasting life is through your children, sons and daughters, right? That's the everlasting life. But our days can be prolonged. They can be multiplied by embracing the menu of Yah, right? And the ways of Yah, right? Then Yah will retard, stagnate the aging process. Okay? You follow me? People have told me they've seen Yada here a few years ago, man, Yada don't look like she don't 68 and 69 when I seen her, man. I'm like, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Okay? And you know what I'm saying? None of us are where we're going to be. You see what I'm saying? But for those people who've been eating all this unclean stuff, you know, not resting on the Sabbath day, you know, breaking the yoke, right? Being revitalized, reinvigorated, right? On that 7th day Sabbath, right? those who are eating all kind of unclean things, those who are polluting and adulterating their body with smoke, any kind of smoke, right? Harsh liquors, any other kind of drugs, legal or illegal. You follow what I'm saying? This takes a toll on you. Now, those of us out there that, again, who are possibly still under doctor's care or what have you, some kind of way, you turn to Yah with all your heart and soul, you start doing what you're supposed to do, your situation is going to get better. I've talked to people who, that situation, they tell me that their situation's getting better. But I've also talked to people who tell me they're doing this, but they're really not. Okay? And like I just said about one here last month, he's transitioned. He said to me, I've been doing everything. I feel like, and after he said it the third time, I'm like, but bruh, if you've been doing everything, why are you having all these problems? He couldn't answer that. Because again, he got to be for real. See, because look, you can tell me anything. You can tell somebody else anything. Right? But over a period of time, it's like I said in the past, and those of you who've been plugged into Yah Righteousness through the years, you know I've said this. Those of you possibly gone through the website meticulously, you heard me say this. People that are from the South, the Israelites that are from the South, for instance, right? Born in Alabama, born in Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, whatever. And then, through hardships, they went, they migrated. Some migrated out to the West Coast. Many migrated east, right? Into the eastern cities, from like Chicago on back to maybe Boston, Massachusetts, right? Okay, that's just some of it, but you get my drift. And then, we migrated to the north, as they like to say, northeast and whatnot, came into the industrial cities and towns to have a better life, to make more money. That's what it comes down to, right? To come out of the cotton fields and the sharecropping and to get a job that was paying a decent wage, that they could have a better life. And then they would, get a decent job, they get a nice car, right? And some nice, decent clothes. And then they would go back to the South to visit their relatives. And they pull up in a shiny car, right? And they got some nice clothes, right? And this has happened to me. I mean, in the sense of, pulling up and you pull up in front of, older people's house. They sitting out on the porch. They got a big, nice size porch. They might have a swing on the porch, a couple of chairs, right? And when I say a swing, a big, like, seat for maybe 3 people. And it's on the swing, and that's on the porch, right? And then some chairs and whatnot on the porch. And they sitting there, and you pull up in your shiny car, your clothes, you might have some jewelry on, and you get out the car, and they see you, and they're like, hey, that's so-and-so. And you're like, how you doing? Grandma, or Aunt so-and-so, or Miss so-and-so, or Mr. so-and-so. And they look at you, right? And you think you looking all sharp and everything, right? With your new car, shiny and whatnot, right? You got on some nice clothes, like I say, maybe some jewelry. And you go up to say something to them, and you talking to them, and they really looking at you. See, they see the car, they see the clothes, they see the jewelry right off. But they look beyond that. They really looking at you. Okay? And you might be there while they say, yeah, one of the women is usually, right? Yeah, you don't look good. You ain't been eating right. You know what I'm saying? They tell you the truth. After a while, after the hugs and the kisses and all that, they tell you the truth. You ain't looking that good. What you doing? What you doing up there in Chicago or New York or Baltimore? Huh? Cleveland, Detroit. What you really doing up there? Cause you ain't been eating right. You don't look good. You ain't been getting your rest. That's the kind of stuff they come at you with. See, because they look past the shiny car and the clothes you know what I'm saying, and the jewelry. They looking at you. You follow what I'm saying? And that's the reality of it. See, they look beyond the superficial, per se. You know what I'm saying? They looking at the real you. See, and if you really look good physically, then they're like, oh boy, you look well. You see what I'm saying? You ain't even got to have a big car or nothing like that. But if you look good yourself, they'll let you know that. See what I'm saying? And that's the reality. Again, these people talk about everlasting life and resurrection, right? Again, a bunch of nonsense in that sense of, you know, you dying and then you coming back, right? And like I said in the past, you know, these ones who in the book, know they Israel in the book, but still thinking that they're going to be raised up out of the grave once they transition, that's totally ludicrous. Read Ecclesiastes and pay particular attention to chapter 3 at the back end of the chapter. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Look at what he says, you know, Solomon says in chapter 9, right? I mean, it's different places in the book that lets you know you ain't coming back once you transition. That's it. You follow me? You live on through your children. Okay? You know, like Yada Eli just put up, right? Too much TV. Okay? Right? But again, you know, not only TV, what they've been raised, how we've been raised, how we've been taught, because we roots out of dry ground. Right? You follow me? Roots out of dry ground. And so that's why we've been in, you understand? We've been in refinement these years. Now I know some of us, you know, are relatively new, just getting up on our hind feet, so to speak, you know, just getting our legs up under us, so to speak. But some of us been on this trail a long time, right? And as I said about myself, I've been on this trail a long time. There's some in the room who know this. Maybe all of you know I've talked about it, but possibly I needed this refinement, you understand, to get the stuff out of me that I was raised in. You follow me? But we've been in refinement. And Yah's, again, we're the clay in Yah's hand that he's shaping and molding into the vessels that he wants us to be, that represent him. The vessels that he works through to magnify himself to the people of the earth, whoever those people may be. You follow what I'm saying? And that's what some of these people, however many, see in us that's been on this trail through the years. Okay? And you know, they want to live a long time, but in actuality, they really don't. Because if they did want to extend their days, right, which can be done, they would turn to Yah and submit with all their heart and obey and purge themselves out of the snares and the traps of pride and arrogance and egotism and selfishness, idolatry. Purge themselves of uncleanliness, unclean things, unclean ways, unclean thoughts. Okay? Yeah, I know y'all's my power. Some of them talk about they coming back as a butterfly or a horse or a dog or a cat. So yeah, a bunch of nonsense. You know? See, so again, you know, people have been deceived. That's again why, you know, Adam Weishaupt back in 1776, what did he say? What won't man believe? Right? Because you understand, the illuminated Edomites saw, you understand, over a period of time, they're like, man will believe anything. You can tell him anything. Huh? You can tell them anything and they'll believe. See what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? This is why we're in reality. This is why we cannot hesitate. We cannot be intimidated in uplifting and magnifying Yah when we get the chance, right? We can't be intimidated to not speak truth when we get the chance. Okay? That's why when that brother who I've been knowing since like the middle to the late 60s that I mentioned in the session, when he came up to me at the repast last month on the 12th of July, and he like, yo, man, he said, man, you always look great, man. What do you do? What are you doing? He said, cause man, you look great. And so he pushed the button. And so we talked about it. Like I said, when you get to talking about the Most High, time flies by so quick. You just don't know how much time. But I know he had just come up there and got a bottle, you know, one of the little small bottles of water, right? Ice cold out of the chest. And this, you know, I was up there and he started talking, we started talking, and he came up there to get that water for his wife. And we talked so long, somebody came up there, you know, and said, yeah, your wife said you supposed to be bringing her the water. He said, oh. And he looked at the water in his hand, it then got hot. He put it back in the chest, got a cold one, and told that person, he said, yeah, take this to her, tell her I'll be over there in a little while. Okay? Because we were still talking. You follow me? Because he was that wanting to know. He was that interested. He wanted to know. What are you doing? You understand? Because like I said, I've been knowing him since the middle to the late 60s. Okay? You know, because when I said to him, I said, you know, after we had been talking a while, and I tell him, I said, I know I can say this to you, and you'll take it the right way. I said, when I came to your son's wake and saw you, I said, and I got the obituary, and they had all these pictures. I said, man, I said, your son he looked older than you. He looked, he said, yeah, he said, my son didn't look good at all. You follow me? And his son was like in his like middle 40s, he's around 44, 45 years old. You know, because my guy is like, he's old as me. He's 70, 71. Okay? So, you know, if the people really considered, if they really wanted to prolong their days, they would want to know you know, what's to be done to do that. As I said in the session, right, we see, you know, when and I didn't even mention this, right, but I thought about it just here the other day. When, you know, Israel as a nation came down into Egypt, right, and they brought Jacob in, you know, Yisrael, because he's Israel now, right? When they brought Yisrael before Pharaoh, Pharaoh looked at him and he said, how old are you? Okay, right? And what did Yisrael respond? He said, I'm 130, and my days do not appertain unto my fathers. And then they took him out, right? He was 130 years old then. And Pharaoh knew he had to be up in age. You know, he looked at him like, man, how old are you? Okay? See what I'm saying? Because no telling how old Pharaoh was and how old he looked. You understand what I'm saying? He might have been, Pharaoh might have been 40, 45, or 50, and he might have looked 80. You dig what I'm saying? And he looked at Jacob, Israel, he's like, how old are you? He's I'm 130. And my days still don't pertain unto my fathers. Because Abraham lived to be 175, Isaac lived to be 180. You follow me? You say that to the average person today, they look at you like you just stepped off of Mars somewhere off a spaceship. You know what I mean? Oh, man, ain't nobody living that old. But we see people were living to be 400, 800, 900 years old, right? That's before all of this pollution and messed up food that Esau been, you know, churning out. And I don't know if you heard it since I say that, right? You know, Bill Gates been buying up all the farmland. I said that a few years ago, but it came out here again last month. He buying up all this farmland. You follow me? And they want to put all the farmers out of business, right? That's why they bought, you know, Bezos, you know, that Edomite is bought Whole Foods. You see what I'm saying? These people are dastardly. But again, this is from Yah, right? To get some of us to seek him out. And once we find him, because again, if you seek him, you're going to find him. And once you find him, right? Read, study, pray, and do. Read this book of remembrance. Okay? Like I said in the past, you can start out reading the Bible. That was my mind, right? But again, you read a book, you start out at the beginning. I started out in Genesis. By the time I got to the end of Deuteronomy, I knew my thoughts, okay, my beliefs about JC was true. That this is a bunch of garbage. But now this New Testament is a bunch of garbage. But I know this book of remembrance, I still hadn't seen that yet. You know, that is really the book of remembrance. I'm just like, this Old Testament got some validation here. This here, I got to check this out deeper. That's what I said. I said, this book holds the key. You understand? Because I knew at the end of Deuteronomy, I was an Israelite. I knew my people, we Israelites. That's why we catching all of this hell that we live in from birth, that we've been in from inception. Our fathers and mothers, our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our great-grandfathers and mothers. I knew we were Israel. I knew that unequivocally by the time I got to the end of Deuteronomy. So I said, this book here holds the key. I got to keep reading, okay? And like I said, by the end, anybody reads from Genesis all the way through to the end of Malachi, you know, I don't see how, if you actually do that, I don't see how you could come out of that thing that Christianity, JC, has any validity. I just don't. And quite naturally, Islam, none of that. I don't see how you can come out of seeing anything other than, you know, this is the creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, you might not know the Most High's name like I did, right? But you know that the creator is the creator, and he's the creator of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, you know, we come into this world, roots out of dry ground, right? And y'all just, you know, if we seek him out, at times we get snared. That happens to all of us. We think the thing is one way. It's really not. At some point, God's going to reveal it to us. And then we have to acknowledge. We have to humble ourselves. And like, yeah, I was wrong. And the sooner one does that, the quicker they're going to start to grow again. Okay? Yah calls us his pleasant plants. Those of us who turn to him with all our heart and soul, submit and commit with all our heart and soul. We his pleasant plants. And he's working with us, pruning us, removing the weeds, removing us around from the weeds. You understand? He's working with us, the great orchestrator, the great agriculturalist. Because Yah is all of that and much more. Right? So he's working with us, preparing each and every one of us for the function that he's preparing us for in the nation of Israel, in this earth, on this earth, to be a conduit for him that he works through, to magnify him, okay, to who and whomever. See? Because people are always watching, always listening. See, trying to get a bead on you. Because generally if they hear your name is Israel, especially now, right? Now they like, uh-oh, right? That's the spirit of Yah gonna make them, wait a minute, what? Then they're gonna start watching you. See? They're gonna start checking you. Okay? It's trying to see, you know, what you doing. You follow me? Because you're a puzzlement to it. You're a mystery, you know, from the outset. Because we don't do what everybody else does. Right? On Labor Day, we ain't out there with no barbecue pit. Right? On the 4th of July, on Memorial Day. Right? On Thanksgiving and Xmas, right? We don't have stuff up in the windows. We don't have a picture of a turkey in the window for Thanksgiving. We don't have no wreaths and holly and red socks or whatever, no sleigh in the window for Xmas, right? We ain't got no Happy New Year's for New Year's Day. We don't have Valentine's up in the windows for Valentine's Day. And believe me, I've seen it all and still see it, because I got a neighbor, we got a neighbor across the street over there in the back of the courtway. She has stuff in the window for all of that stuff. Okay? Y'all are shaking their head. She got stuff in the window for all, in recognition of all of that stuff. Okay? Just basically, you know what I mean? And you got other people the same way. But they look and they see, you know, like I said in the past, when they see me around one of them days, Merry Christmas, I say, have a good day. You know, how you? You know what I mean? And then if they press me, I say, hey, you understand, I don't have anything to celebrate. Okay? I'm not in idolatry. I say something like that, and they're like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Right? So they eventually, over a period of time, they stop. But then that makes them watch you even that much more. You understand? Trying to get a bead on, just like today. On the 7th day, Sabbath, what they call Saturn Day, they don't never see us out. You think they haven't noticed that? They don't never see us out on the Sabbath day, right? And my little guys next door who done moved over there here within the last year, right? They be out there throwing the ball sometime. So it was one day they came and hit the bell, and I went down, and it was like, you know, can you get our ball that's in your yard? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I put my shoes on, went out, opened up the gate. I said, there you go, get it. So they get the ball, and then I tell them, I said, now, you know, I can get the ball on every day except Saturday. So I'm telling you, if you mess around there throwing the ball on Saturday and it goes in your yard, don't come hit the bell, because I can't come out and get it. You're going to have to wait until it gets dark. And they look at me, okay? So I noticed there lately, they ain't even playing ball out there, or they moved further down the street. You know what I mean? One day they got the ball in the backyard, they just left it there. And I saw it later on that night, and so I got it, threw it back over the fence. Because they know, you know what I mean? Because I done told them, don't be climbing the fence because you'll break it down. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's Yah, it's the spirit of Yah that he inseminates into them to be orderly in that sense. You see what I'm saying? Where Mr. Israel don't want us climbing over this fence. So if the ball go over there, they got to stay over there till he throw it back over here. You see what I'm saying? That's Yah. Okay? I'm telling you, you know, Yah goes before you. And just like what Dawid said, right? He said, you make a people who I've never seen, you know what I mean? They submissive to me immediately. See? Again, like Yah says, he makes the righteous person's enemies at peace with him. See? And these are the things that people really can't grasp that's not about Yah. That they really can't understand. You see what I'm saying? And I know at times they come into the room or they go into the website and they hear me talk about this, right? And you know, it might resonate to some degree on them, but they're so, you know, because you know yourselves, this happened with all of us, right? The more we're in pursuit of Yah, the more we do, over a period of time, Yah removes, you know, blinders on certain things. Just like I said about this sacrifices, right? Broken heart, contrite spirit, the sacrifice of praise, magnifying Yah, upliftment, exaltation, right? Now we see these are sacrifices without question. I mean, we've been reading it for years, but you know, things hit you in a different way over a period of time, a more profound effect. And that's like Yah's moving these layers of darkness, of obstruction from before our eyes. You know, more and more and more, where we see things in so profound and so much clarity, right? And we start to see how Yah operates, the operations of his hands, right? You follow what I'm saying? Where we know Yah is before us. Like I said, I had to go downtown yesterday. You know, I very rarely go down there. And I told Yah said, I hope you find a parking place. I said, Yah gonna make something. You make me find a parking place, and I found one beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Shot right in there, no problem. You understand what I'm saying? And didn't have to pay. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm telling you, you cannot constrict Yah. Yah is ever encompassing. As he says, he fills heaven and earth. And when you are about him, he goes before you and opens up doors, Okay? You understand what I'm saying? That you can't even see. I mean, I was talking with Esau earlier in the week, and we talking about some things, and he said, he said, what about that? What you said to me? You gonna always run, and you dealing with the public, you gonna always run into somebody that's, off center, somebody that's gonna create some adversity. And I said, yeah, when you dealing with the public, you're gonna run into one of those every day, at least one, and you've got to be ready to deal with them. Okay, in the sense of you leave them, because he said, what about that? What you say, the customer's always right even when they're wrong. I said, that's right, and that's how you got to deal. And that's what I used to tell them when they was wrong. I said, well, I leave with a smile. The customer's always right even when you're wrong. But that's when you're dealing with the public, because you're gonna be dealing with people coming from all different angles. You understand what I'm saying? And so you got to be ready for that. You follow what I'm saying? You can't be out there arguing and fussing and going through all of that. But Yah is the one, when you got him before you, he's the one. You follow what I'm saying? He's the spirit. You see what I'm saying? And he has people where they're malleable, in the sense where they conform, to that spirit, where he makes them not hostile. They might start out hostile, but it's how you respond to them, right? And then they immediately become malleable. They become like humble. They become not adverse, not oppositional. You follow me? But that's because of how you are in relationship to the Creator. See? You follow me? It's just like I said about the brother that just transitioned here the other month. They've been around this movement for years, and he here some years ago, I had to remind him. I said, you told me how you broke your ankle. You came down the step, you fell and broke your ankle. You understand? But it was his ex-woman that called me and told me he was cursing and hollering and screaming. That's when he fell and broke his ankle. And she reminded, and he broke 2 ribs. And when I brought that back to it, he said, yeah, that's true. He couldn't deny it. You follow me? Because when you use perverseness, then you have these problems. You not with Yah. Yah's not with you. See? That's why what did Solomon say? He spent his time searching out acceptable words. Right? Acceptable words. This is what I said here, like, what was it, about 32 years ago, when they, the powers that be started allowing these musicians and artists to use, not only in music, but also in TV and pictures, using all kind of terms now that they try to make acceptable. I mean, we got a mayor here. She's homosexual, lesbian, right? Israelite, right? And she says all kind of stuff. And people have brought this to her. How are you supposed to be an example for the youth? And here you are using, the F word and all kind of stuff like that. And she doubled down and tripled down on it. You follow what I'm saying? See? That's unacceptable. But that's what's going on in this world today. That's what the powers that be are trying to make the standard. That's why, again, they started letting all this stuff come across the airwaves 32 years ago. As I said in the past, it started with Luther Campbell and 2 Live Crew. I know some of you out there know what I'm talking about, right? You follow me? But these things are unacceptable. But this is the illuminated Edomite in his, somewhat subtle way, trying to allow this stuff to come out, because he's behind it. Don't think he's not. Like I said, Charlie, we was just talking earlier, and I mentioned to him, I said, yeah, like that Clive Davis. I know many of you know who I'm talking about. Basically, over this record industry, him and that Tommy Mottola, who Michael Jackson said is, Tommy Mottola was the devil, the ex-husband of Mariah Carey. You understand? She had a nervous breakdown, you understand, dealing with him, because that's what these Edomites, they sap all the strength, they sap everything out of you. But Clive Davis, when Whitney Houston, one of the top artists for that record label, whatever it's called, right? When they killed her in the bathtub, drowned her, because she been over there with her and Bobby Brown in the land of Israel with them brothers in Demona, and she's walking around talking about my country, my land. You know they hated her. So what happened? A little way down the line, they drowned her in the bathtub. And then they had the party afterwards, right? I mean, they was all there at this hotel for the party, for this big party, right? But now they found out she's dead before the party, and they still had the party. Now, how is that? I mean, the party was supposed to have been stopped, right? But they still had the party. Because you know they hated her guts when she walking around over there in the land with Asiel, that used to be with the Demona movement, and some of them other brothers, right? Benjamin and them talking about my country, our country. You know they hated her for that. You don't even see them talking about that. I think we the only ones that talk about it. Huh? Maybe the brothers in Demona might talk about it, right? See? So this is the hatred. This is the animosity. This is this daughter Babylon, the United States of America that we live in. This is what's going on. See? And you got many of us shilling, S-H-I-L-L-I-N-G, for this country. You know, when they got the LeBron Jameses, you know, America, you know, this is for America, you know, and going to school and getting, you know what I mean, these degrees. And again, like I said, you know, the children, you know, I'm brokenhearted for them in many instances, because they're going to a system that's dying right before our eyes. They don't even understand, right? They're going to school for what? Because they're more than likely not going to really get a job. I mean, this is in decline, in collapse mode. This whole system. And when I say system, that's across the earth, right? So what are they actually being taught? Because many of you out there now, you got college degrees, right? And again, as I've said in the past, basically you get a college degree, you're going to be working for the government in some shape, form, or fashion. You're not going to be hired in private industry. That's rare. You know, they got 1 or 2, 3, 4 figureheads here and there, just so they can say they're not, you know, discriminatory. But that's rare. You basically, you get a college degree, you working for the government. But you've got those who in the room right now got college degrees. You ain't working for the government. You out there something. You might be doing something. You making a decent living because Yah is before you. Because you turned to Yah with all your heart and soul. So he's making a way for you. You know, like I said the other day, you understand, you know, generally when you tell a person you a hustler, the first thing generally pop into their mind is something illegal. But you got hustlers out here that's making a good living doing other things. They ain't doing anything illegal. You understand? Like I said, this person here the other day, I know a person, you understand, from way back, he was into selling t-shirts. And he was making a good living selling t-shirts. Now, when I say that, some of you like, well, t-shirt, but now, those of you who like sports, you understand, you see some of that NCAA championship game, and you go to one of them colleges, and they back in their school, right? And they got t-shirts, all the same t-shirt on. And it might be 20, 30,000 or more sitting up there in the stadium. And they got all the same t-shirt on. And that t-shirt might have sold for like $7 a piece. Now you figure that up. How much is like 20 or 30,000 times 7? See, you got the person that's selling peanuts, right? Maybe a $3 bag of peanuts at these sports events. And they might sell maybe, you understand, 300-400 bags of peanuts, 500 bags of peanuts. Now you figure that up times $3 in one event. You follow what I'm saying? These is hustlers. And a lot of times they can fly up under the radar, right? You understand what I'm saying? Where Esau didn't know, Skull and Bone Boys didn't know how much taxes that they're supposed to be paying, right? But this is what cryptocurrency gonna stop. They bring in this cryptocurrency, you're not gonna be able to do that anymore. Because every financial transaction is gonna be on the screen. Every one of them. If they move this thing to cryptocurrency. And that's where they head. I read it to you, that Jacob the Rothschild response to Henry Maycock. I've read it about 3 times over the last year and a half. The dollar is toast. Okay? What did Jacob the Rothschild say? The dollar seen its day. Okay? See, so again, this whole, you understand, this daughter of Babylon, it is in, you know, it's in collapse mode. But the whole system is in collapse mode. Now we know systematically, right, that, you understand, it collapses in, you know, intermittently through attrition. Because the illuminated Edomites, you understand, that's at the head of this thing, that's got the dominion and is diversified. Even when this, you understand, country gets destroyed, you still gonna have Illuminati Edomites in existence. Okay? When the Edomites get destroyed over there in their land, and that's what we waiting on. Again, it's the Leviathan, Yeshua 27, right? That's going to make peace with Yah and his movement and cause the vineyard of red wine to take root in Jerusalem. He got to be humble. So he's going to still be in existence. When this country gets destroyed, when the nuclear war jumps off, you still going to have Illuminati Edomites in existence. Okay? That's going to perpetrate, right, the last battle. When they come against Yah. And again, those of us who are about Yah with all our heart and soul, anytime anybody comes against any one of us individually or collectively, they're going against Yah. They might not understand that, but that's the reality of that. Right? Nebuchadnezzar, when he told Ananias, Mishael, and Azariah, y'all got to bow down to this idol. When they told him, listen, we're not even careful in answering you in this. We're not doing that. Now, whatever you think you need to do, you better get to it, because, you understand, we're not doing that. And we know that, we know what happened in that situation. Daniel, what did those perpetrators, the only fault we're going to find in him is about this Yah. So they just sat around and schemed up a scheme that they thought, that they could get rid of Daniel. What happened? They ended up where Daniel was put, and Yah, you understand, had the lion's mouth shut. They didn't touch that. But when Daniel was pulled up, and those men and their families were lowered down before they hit the ground, what does it say? The mastery over the lions ceased, and them lions started eating them up, tearing them to shreds. There's no offense or defense against Yah, and there is no offense or defense against his servants who are totally committed and submitted to him. And that's why we are in refinement. Yah's preparing us night and day, each and every one of us that have turned to him with all our heart and all our soul. He's preparing us to understand this unequivocally. To keep him before us constantly. We acknowledge him in all things, that he can direct our path. Things are established in counsel. Okay, I've been told, you know, Yudah, man, Maisha, she don't like me calling you. I'm like, okay, well, he said, why you think that is? I said, hey, you got to ask her. I don't know. See, you got to ask her that. And this ain't, you know, I've been told that numerous times, you know, different situations. Okay? You got some guys, they don't want that you should call in me. You understand what I'm saying? I know that exists. See? But the deal is, you know people who are about the Creator, then, right? You're supposed to be, times you're going to counsel with them. You're not going to go to people who are not about Yah, and you're about Yah. See? Now, the man and the woman that are about Yah, right? Then they counsel, right? Yah and I, we talk all the time. You know, I think I mentioned in the past here some years ago, this brother I've been knowing for years, knew his sister. We went to school together, You know what I'm saying? We've been knowing each other for like, man, since back in the late 60s, right? And he had a going away party for his sister, and we went. It was at his club he had at the time, and we went and we got there. The place was packed. He watched us come in there, you know, before it actually got packed, and then he's sitting across the club, and I didn't know it, but y'all, we got a table. We sitting there, and y'all, we talking, right? And after we had been there about three and a half hours, he came over to the table, and he's like, he said, "You?" I said, "Yeah, Donald." He says, "Man, I've been sitting over there watching you and your wife." He said, "I know y'all been together for about 20 years." He said, "I know y'all been together about 20 years." He said, "Man, y'all been sitting over here talking for about 3 hours." He said, "What?" He said, "Me and my wife," he said, "we sit around and don't say nothing to one another." You know what I mean? He said, "Well, you know." And I told him, I said, "Well, we got a lot to talk about." He said, "I see." You know, it really amazed him. Where he had to come over and tell us. He's like, "Man, y'all been talking about 3 hours straight." See? Because we got stuff to talk about. We talking about what's going on, what we see. You follow what I'm saying? And different people, you know, come up to like that one guy I mentioned in the past. He came up, I hadn't seen him a long time, and he like, "Man, give me your card, I'm gonna call you," and all this. You know, I've been knowing him for years. You know, since the early '70s, and you know, later on when we left that night, y'all said, "Who was that guy?" And I told her. She said, "You ain't gonna hear from him." I said, "You don't think so?" She said, he full of mess. He ain't gonna call you." And she hit the nail right on there, and I ain't heard from him since. He done moved down in Texas. Okay? So, you know, because he was the husband to one of them sisters I was just telling you about that was at the repast and at the memorial. You follow what I'm saying? But they got divorced way back. Okay? Now, here's an article out of the Chicago Tribune, August the 4th. OPEC Plus decides to slowly increase production of oil. Boost of 100,000 barrels per day to start in September amid war in Ukraine, high prices. Now, again, they say that's a drop in the bucket. You know, Biden appealed to the Saudis and some of them other, you know, the UAE and Qatar, you know, we need more oil. But they say, okay, they gonna give them OPEC now plus, right? They gonna give them 100,000 barrels. All these nations together gonna give them 100,000 barrels. That ain't nothing. You follow what I'm saying? So they're saying high prices are gonna persist. And in the article, okay, again, say the OPEC oil cartel and its allies decided Wednesday to boost production in September by a much slower pace than in previous months at a time of high gasoline prices and unstable energy supplies exacerbated by Russia's war in the Ukraine. And again, you know, they always try to impugn Russia, you understand? But again, Russia had no choice but to go in to try to, you know, keep its sovereignty, right? But nevertheless, the last thing in the article, the last paragraph, check this out. As a result, the amount of oil on the market might not keep up with demand, so high oil prices may persist for some time. And again, it's going to be from now on. Okay? That's the reality of it. Also, France gives okay to inflation relief. Inflation is so bad over in France, the government is going to reach out and try to help some people, right? Said French lawmakers Wednesday approved a $20.3 billion package of measures to help struggling households cope with rising energy and food prices. All right? Now, they say annual inflation has reached a record 8.6%. That's what they tell us, but it's more likely higher than that. Okay, for the 19 countries using the shared euro currency. See, inflation across the earth, because the dollar has been the king of currency. So as it inflates, you're going to get inflation basically every place where they've been taking this dollar and where they've been plugged into the Bretton Woods situation. You follow what I'm saying? Now, this is what the eastern part of the earth is breaking away from. The BRICS. You follow me? Russia, China, Russia, Brazil, India, South Africa. And you understand? We heard 100 other nations ready to go in with them immediately, as soon as they get this thing actually up and running and established. And they working on it every day. Okay? Now, also, this is from the EPA. Sterilization chemical poses cancer risk. The Environmental Protection Agency is warning residents who live near medical sterilizing plants in 13 states and Puerto Rico about potential health risks from emissions of ethylene oxide, a chemical widely used in their operations. You hear that? Ethylene oxide. So that's in the air too. And you know, if it's in 13 states, it's in more than that because the wind is blowing. Right? That's why, again, right? What does y'all say? When he brings us back, all he's bringing back with him, all whose heart is circumcised in the foreskin of their heart to Yah, with all their heart and soul, he's bringing them back with him on his return to Jerusalem. And what does he say there in Zechariah 13:1? He going to cleanse our blood that is not being cleansed. He going to open up that fountain for uncleanness for the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Now that's before Jerusalem is even totally cleansed of idolatry. That's after the attack of the Assyrians. When y'all gets rid of them 2/3 that's going to be in and around Jerusalem, that's going to claim they're about Yah or not, huh? He going, but really not, right? He's going to get rid of any and everybody whose heart is not totally in harmony with him. And it's going to leave a third, and that's when we become the beacon on the hill, the light to the world. And that's when he opens up that fountain for uncleanness for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to cleanse our blood that has not been cleansed. Okay? Now, you know, again, it's another article here. Mine Union told to pay over $13 million. This is out of Birmingham, Alabama, right? A federal oversight board ordered the United Mine Workers of America to pay more than $13 million in compensation to an Alabama coal company where members have been on strike for more than a year. A ruling the union said Wednesday it would challenge. The National Labor Relations Board said Warrior Met Coal Mining was due some $13.3 million for costs including increased security, damage repair, and lost revenues from unmined coal, and individuals were due almost $30,000, mostly for damage to vehicles. Both amounts include interest. Now, this is what the workers got to pay the owners of the mine, because they've been striking for better pay and more benefits. See, this is again why this whole thing is collapsing. But yet and still, they're going to tell us it's 528,000 jobs that was created. Again, a bold-faced lie. You follow me? Now, I showed the article. For those of you who saw it, I showed you the 5 brothers, you know, that they had spotted for that Tuskegee experiment, right? 5 of the brothers that went through that, right? You understand? And you understand? And if those of you who saw it, and again, it'll play again next week, I showed the article, and eventually it'll be on the website. And right below that, you got a glimpse of this Associated Press investigative reporter, Gene Heller, Caucasian, okay, who's the one who actually broke the story, okay? And, you know, this picture of her was July 9th at her home in Southport, North Carolina. She's the one who broke the story about the Public Health Service study in 1972. Now, I'm going to read you this article because you need to hear this. And this is how Tuskegee was exposed. Okay? Reporter broke shocking 1972 story on federal study of syphilis in black men. Okay? And this Associated Press story is by Alan G. Breed. Okay? Now, this is out of Southport, North Carolina. Evidently, he interviewed Gene Heller, the one who actually brought forth this story, you know, back there in 1972. Gene Heller was toiling away on the floor of the Miami Beach Convention Center when an Associated Press colleague from the opposite end of the country walked into her workspace behind the event stage and handed her a thin manila envelope. I'm not an investigative reporter. Now, this was Edith Lederer, more likely Edomite. L-E-D-E-R-E-R. Edith Lederer, okay, who handed Jean Heller this manila envelope, okay, at the time. Jean Heller was 29 years old. As competitors, right? They were competitors, typed away, Jean Heller typed away beyond the thick gray hangings, separating news outlets covering the 1972 Democratic National Convention. But this is what Lederer said to her. But I think there might be something here. Inside were documents telling a tale that even today staggers the imagination. For 4 decades, right, 40 years, the U.S. government had denied hundreds of poor black men treatment for syphilis so researchers could study its ravages on the human body. You hear that? The U.S. Public Health Service called it the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. The world would soon come to know it simply as the Tuskegee study, one of the biggest medical scandals in U.S. history, an atrocity that continues to fuel mistrust of government and healthcare among black Americans. I thought it couldn't be, Heller recalls of that moment 50 years ago. The ghastliness of this. That's what she's saying, the ghastliness of this, right? The story of how the study came to light began 4 years earlier at a party in San Francisco. Lederer was working at the AP Bureau there in 1968 when she met Peter Buxton. 3 years earlier, while pursuing graduate work in history, Buxton had taken a job at the local public health service office in 1965. He was tasked with tracking venereal disease cases in the Bay Area. In 1966, Buxton had overheard colleagues talking about a syphilis study going on in Alabama. He called the Communicable Disease Center, now the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and asked if they had any documents they could share. He received a manila envelope containing 10 reports. He told the American Scholar magazine in a story published in 2017. He knew immediately that the study was unethical, he said, and sent reports to his superiors telling them so twice. The reply was essentially, tend to your own work and forget about Tuskegee. You hear that? That's what his superiors told. He eventually left the agency, but he couldn't leave Tuskegee. So Buxton turned to his journalist friend, Edie, that's this Edie Lederer, right? Who demurred. I knew that I could not do this, Lederer said during a recent interview. Okay? AP in 1972 was not going to put a young reporter from San Francisco on a plane to Tuskegee, Alabama to go and do an investigative story. But she told Buxton she knew someone who could. Okay, now remember, this Edie Lederer more likely than not is an Edomite. So she didn't want to do it. She investigated reporter, but she didn't want to do it. And she claimed she knew, right, that the AP wasn't going to allow her to do it, right? But check this out. At the time, Heller was the only woman on the AP's fledgling special assignment team, a rarity in the industry. Still, she was not spared the casual sexism of the era. A 1968 story on the team for AP World, the wire services employee newsletter, described the squad as 10 men and one cute gal. You know, she's the one cute gal, right? A caption under the 5'2" Heller's photo called the Pixie-like reporter, lovely and competent. Lederer knew Heller from their days together at AP's New York headquarters, then at 50 Rockefeller Plaza, where Heller started out on the radio desk, It's in New York, right? I knew she was a terrific reporter, Lederer says. During a trip to visit her parents in Florida, that almost seals it that Lederer was an Edomite, right? Parents in Florida, right? Made a short detour to Miami Beach, where Heller was part of a team covering the convention, from which U.S. Senators George McGovern in South Dakota and Thomas Eagleton of Missouri would emerge as the Democratic presidential and vice presidential nominees. During a recent interview at her North Carolina home, Heller recalled putting the leaked PHS documents in her briefcase. She says she didn't get around to reading the contents until the flight back to Washington. Seated next to her was Ray Stevens, head of the investigative team. She showed him the documents. Stevens realized the government wasn't denying the study's existence, just refusing to talk about it. Heller recalls Stevens saying, "When we get back to Washington, I want you to drop everything else you're doing and focus on this." Okay? The government stonewalled her and refused to talk about the study. So Heller began making the rounds elsewhere, starting with colleges, universities, and medical schools. She even reached out to her mother's gynecologist, a straight down the line, middle of the road, superior doctor. I asked him if he'd ever heard about this, and he said, "That's not going on. I just don't believe it." Finally, one of her sources recalled seeing something about the syphilis study in a small medical publication. She headed to the D.C. Public Library. I asked him if they had any kind of documents, books, magazines, whatever, that would fit a what today we would call a profile or a search engine search for Tuskegee Farmers Public Health Service syphilis, Heller says. They found an obscure medical journal. Heller can't recall the title, that had been chronicling the study's progress. Every couple of years they would write something about it, she said. Mostly it was about the findings. None of the morality was ever questioned. Normally, reporters celebrate these eureka moments, but Heller felt no such elation. "I knew that people had died, and I was about to tell the world who they were and what they had," she says, her voice dropping, "and finding any joy in that would have been unseemly." Yeah, that's how she looked at it. She said, I didn't find no joy in this, right? Armed with the journal, Heller went back to the PHS. They caved, right? They caved in, right? She says she says the lead of the story, the first paragraph or sentence of a news article, came to her quickly. Marv Arrowsmith, the bureau chief, walked by my desk and I said, "Hey, Marv, will you publish this?" She recalled. And he read it and he looked at me and he said, "Can you prove it?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You got it." An AP medical writer helped interview doctors for the story. Within just a few short weeks, the team felt they had enough to publish. Arrowsmith suggested they offer the story first to the now defunct Washington Star, if it promised to run it on the front page. The Star was highly respected, afternoon newspaper, and if they took it seriously, others might follow, Heller said. The story ran on July 25th, 1972, a Tuesday. It was a harrowing tale. Starting in 1932, you hear that? 40 years, the Public Health Service, working with the famed Tuskegee Institute, began recruiting black men in Macon County, Alabama. Researchers told them they were to be treated for bad blood, a catch-all term used to describe several ailments, including anemia, fatigue, and syphilis. Treatment at the time consisted primarily of doses of arsenic and mercury. You hear that? Now that's what they use to treat. Arsenic and mercury. In exchange for their participation, the men would get free medical exams, free meals, and burial insurance, provided the government was allowed to perform an autopsy. Guinea pigs, right? That's what they use them for. Eventually, more than 600 men were enrolled. What they were not told was that about a third would receive no treatment at all. Now, out of the 600, about 200 didn't receive any treatment at all. They using some, water or whatever. You know what I mean? Said even after penicillin became available in the 1940s. By the time Hella's story was published, at least 7 of the men in the study had died as a direct result of the affliction, and another 154 from heart disease. As much injustice as there was for Black Americans back in 1932, when the study began, I could not believe that an agency of the federal government, as much of a mistake as it was initially, could let this continue for 40 years, says Helen. You hear that? She couldn't believe that the federal government would allow this to go on for 40 years as badly as we, people of color, had been treated up to that point. She said she was furious. Nearly 4 months after the story ran, the study was halted. You hear that? The story ran, it still took them 4 months to halt the study, right? The government established the Tuskegee Health Benefit Program to begin treating the men, eventually expanding it to the participants' wives, widows, and children. Now, you see how far-reaching this was? Huh? A class action lawsuit filed in 1973 resulted in a $10 million settlement. Can you believe that? Now that's $10 million spread out over wives, children, surviving family members of 600 men. Now how much did they get? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, how much money did the families actually get? Not much. It should have been $10 million of a man. That's what it should have been. You follow me? But that's how they deal with us. Now check this out. The last participant died in 2004, but the study still cast a long shadow over the nation. Many African Americans cited Tuskegee in refusing to seek medical treatment or participate in clinical trials. It was even cited more recently as a reason not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. See, but I ain't supposed to read that, right? Because they got a strike on us, right? They done threatened us. They gonna ban us off a stream or whatever if I talk about this. You follow me? So did you hear that? I'm gonna read that again. It was even cited more recently as a reason for African Americans not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. At 79, Hella is still haunted by her story and the effects it had on the men and women of rural Alabama and the nation as a whole. For the story, Hella would win some of journalism's highest honors, the Robert F. Kennedy, George Polk, and Raymond Clapper Memorial Awards. Hanging in her office is a copy of the front page byline she got in the New York Times, exceedingly rare for an AP staffer. But the hype surrounding Tuskegee would play a big role in Hella's decision to leave the AP in 1974. I felt after all of the brouhaha over Tuskegee and what came after it that I should move on, Hella says. She went on to a 30-year career that would take her from the hills of Wyoming to the beaches of South Florida. These days, Hella spends her time cranking out fiction. She's 5 books into a mystery series featuring Deuce Mora, a hard-driving female reporter who is a very un-pixie-like 6 feet tall. Okay? Despite her distress over the state of the news business, she has never thought about returning to journalism. You can't go home again. I firmly believe that, she said, and I don't want to be competing against myself or against expectations. When asked if she regretted giving up what is arguably one of the great scoops in American journalism, Lederer replied, the Edomite, right? possibly, you know, a little bit, but she knew that the story was bigger than her or Heller or any individual report. What I cared about most was that this seemed to be a horrible and deadly injustice to innocent black men, said letterer, who was the first woman assigned full-time to cover the Vietnam War for the AP and remains its chief UN correspondent to this day, right? And for me, the important thing was to verify it and to see that it got out to the broader American public and that something was done to prevent any such experiments from happening again. And that's what Lederer said, the Edomite. Heller agrees. The story isn't about me anyway, she says. It's about them. Okay? Now, like I said, I didn't show it to you in the picture, but that's her face you see up under the picture of the 5 brothers back then, right? The photo that was taken in the 1950s, Alabama, right? Okay? You see 5 of the 600 men. You understand what I'm saying? That they did the experiments on. But now up under Gene Heller's picture is a picture of Bill Clinton when he was president and Vice President Al Gore standing beside a Tuskegee syphilis study victim, Herman Shaw, in Washington. Right? Herman Shaw sitting down. He probably can't stand, you know, couldn't stand. Clinton apologized to black men subjected to the study. So they got an apology, just like the Pope. I know many of you, if not all of you, saw the Pope here this past week, right? He in a wheelchair, right? And he brought to apologize to the Native American, right? And they put an Indian headdress on him, Native American headdress, right? He apologizing for all of the pedophilia and the molestation and the murdering of all of the Native American children, you understand, through the years. See, that's what they give an apology. Okay? Now, those of you see what Rivka put up? 1932, 1972, they didn't stop the Tuskegee experiment until it came to light. They used a Yisraelite nurse to recruit other Yisraelites. You hear that? John R. Heller, relation to this reporter, oversaw the study. Okay, so that's Gene Heller, huh? No relation, should I say? They're not related. I don't think they're related at all. I'm sure she would have mentioned that, right? Yeah, I don't think they're related. But you see how they do us? And then they wonder why we don't, you understand, buy into what they tell us. We don't buy into the lies. We don't buy into the deception. But yet and still, because, you know, this is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, you don't have the right to tell them what they can't do to your own body. You don't have the right to speak your own mind. Right? You follow me? But yet and still they tell us we free. And again, if you know, you understand what I'm saying? This is all nothing but mind control. You follow me? Just like they got black men, you know, black men, black women. When most of us are not black complected, you know what I'm saying? That's a misnomer. Just like they call many of the Caucasians white. They not. They pale. You can call them Caucasians, they pale, but they ain't white. See what I'm saying? This is the mind control. And it comes in all shapes, forms, and fashions. That's why a lot of times I'm reading an article, it'll say global. I don't say that because that's mind control. Trying to make you think the earth is round like a ball. Okay? When it's not. You follow me? It's flat like and round like a plate. You know, terrarium. Huh? Used to be anyway. Not anymore. Right? Because man got to toil, got to, you know, sweat in his brow. He got to plant. You know, because of the miscue. Right? So, you know, back there in Genesis with Adam and Eve and the serpent. Right? Okay, yeah, again, Heller is Heller. Rivka, in the paper. So, you know, again, but more than likely they weren't related. You know what I'm saying? Because more than likely that Jean Heller, you understand, she, you know what I mean? She probably would have mentioned that. Or the guy Breed who actually wrote this article would have mentioned. You know what I mean? But see, this is generally how it happens, right? And a lot of times it's one of the Edomite women or the Caucasian women who comes to reveal stuff that they doing to us or aid and abets us. You know, just like all of the Caucasian women that was down there, what was that when they had the you know, the what was that in Mississippi? They were boycotting the or was it Tennessee? They were boycotting the buses. You know, the brothers and sisters wouldn't ride the bus. Huh? Okay, Montgomery was Alabama. They wouldn't ride the buses, right? And I remember seeing a documentary where some of them Caucasians, you understand, down there, you know, the races, they were like, yeah, the boycott wouldn't work if these white women stopped driving, going picking up they maids, bringing them to work and whatnot. Okay, see, you understand what I'm saying? But it's always been some Caucasians that were empathetic and sympathetic to us. You see what I'm saying? You know, they weren't oppressive. They weren't racist. You understand? And you got many of them today. Just like I mentioned, Dr. Nailboard, our old dentist in the session. Doc was cool in the gang. We used to talk a lot. You understand what I'm saying? And when I went to the dentist one time here a few years back, he was there visiting some of his, you know, just came by and hollered at some of his, you know, old workers that working for the new doctor that took his place. And he was just coming out when I was getting out the car, and he saw me. He said, "Ben," and he came over and hugged me. We hugged, you know, because Doc was cool. You understand what I'm saying? You got good people out here. It's not dictated by pigmentation. Okay? See, and that's another thing, which is a misperception. You know how, you know, a lot of us are raised to think just because a person look a certain way, you know, certain pigmentation, they supposed to be bad or they supposed to be good. No, you can't judge people that way. You understand? And we got the real measuring stick to judge everybody, ourselves, and everything. Is the laws of the Creator. See? YHWH. So, again, Benaiah and Zacchaeus, they sent another one of these papers, Jerusalem Chronicle News. You know, I hope one day the brother will figure out it's YHWHrusalem and not Jerusalem. You know, the editor. You know, and again, the editor must think that we are Jews because he talks about the Jewish converts. You know, about the Edomites. You know, he don't call them Edomites. He say they Jewish converts. In other words, like we the real Jews and we're not. You follow what I'm saying? There's different things in the paper that I saw. They knew I would go over it. You know, I look at different things, but, you know, many of us or some of us who, like I said, he writes about in this paper are doing. And, you know, and then the things that he says. One of the things, again, one of the articles said Putin threatens to use nuclear weapons if NATO continues to expand near Russia's border in Eastern Europe. Well, again, this is what so many people are afraid of. Like I said earlier, they're afraid of the nuclear war. Okay? But see, again, you know, evidently the brother doesn't understand, the editor of the, you know, Jerusalem Chronicle News, you know what I mean? He doesn't understand actually when this is going to happen. But it can't happen until what I said earlier, and I've said it in the past. Until Yah is established in Jerusalem, the temple is built, the sacrifice is on, the second gathering has taken place. Okay? About 2 to 3 years after that, that's when we're going to get the nuclear war. That's over there in the book of Jeremiah. See? So, you know, also in the paper, I noticed he said President Putin sent an official letter to the Edomites. You know, he got Israelis, right? Government demanding return of Russian church in Jerusalem. See, so again, Russia got a church over there in Jerusalem. Like I say, in YHWHrusalem, right? I mean, you know, Jerusalem is filled with all kind of idolatry. right? You got recognition of the Greek Orthodox Church. You got recognition of the Coptic Church. You got recognition of the Catholicist Church. You got recognition of the Russian Church, which is Catholicist too. You got the Islamic representatives, you know, the El Asmas and the Dome of the Rock. You got what else? You got the Edomite stuff over there. That's why again. You understand what I'm saying? Ezekiel chapter 11 verse 18. When we come back, we get rid of all idolatry. That's what you see him talked about at the back end of Micah chapter 5. See? So, you know, it's different things here in this paper. You know, the brother, he, like I said in the past, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, he uses Yah, YHWH, but at times he'll have YHWH, you know? Kind of, you know, convoluted there, right? I see in one of the articles he mentions William Crowley, you know, at the beginning of when we started, you know, William Crowley started to teach We Was Israel. And he's got, you know, 1896. So he's got that. Got another article about this brother Shemuel ben YHWH Yisrael. Got a picture of him in the article, but this Shemuel ben YHWH Yisrael wrote a book about the Boulak, right? He calls it the Black Skull and Bones, because the title of the article is Leadership Crisis in Black America. Okay? But again, it's kind of convoluted when he say Black America. You understand what I'm saying? Again, you know, I can see him saying Black America in the sense of, so everybody knows just who he's talking about per se, but that should be in parentheses, you know, Black America, right? Because he should, the leadership crisis amongst Israel, right? And then put, quote unquote, you know, he should, leadership crisis in America amongst Israelites, and then in parentheses, Black America. You know, always promulgating who we really are and not putting forth anything convoluted, you know. But, you know, again, he got another article over here in the paper saying it was reconciliation during the New World Passover, you know, that recognition they got coming out of Dimona, Israel, and then supposedly a reconciliation between ICL and them brothers over there in Dimona. But I don't believe that at all. And you don't see any of them brothers from the Dimona movement, you know, that's still over there that stayed with Ben-Ami when the split came between him and ICL. You don't see none of them in the picture. Okay? That's trying to make it like it's reconciliation. But I don't think that's ever going to happen, because those brothers and sisters that stayed with Ben-Ami, you know, it was a split when Ben-Ami died. I don't ever see them ingratiating themselves with ICL. And in the picture, ICL's son is actually holding him up. They try to disguise it where you can't tell it, but ICL ain't firm on his pins, and his son is actually holding him up. You know? But, you know, it's good to see these things, to see what, you know, how different Israelite brothers, how they think, and, you know, what they're doing, you know, in the sense of, you know, they're off in a lot of instances, but I guess if they would see y'all right, they would probably say, I'm off or we're off, you know what I mean? But that's what I see. I'm still looking at the paper, but I appreciate Benai and Zakiya sending the paper, you know, and evidently they wanted me to see it and see what I thought about it. But like I said, the headline on the front of the page was Russian-Ukraine war, right? And he got international civil war between North and South. And again, I'm not in agreement with that, that headline. But what do you want to talk about? Anything? Peace, Elia. And you say, is there some type of cleansing that the high priest must perform on himself before every offering? Because I'm wondering what happens if he has some type of uncleanness come upon him through the day. Well, again, you know, if he's got any kind of issue, he can't go before Yah, and he can't do any kind of offering. That's just without question, right? And then, you know, when he's got, and again, it's the Thummim and Urim. I think I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Most of the time in the book, you're going to see Urim and Thummim, but it's reversed. There's only one time in the book. Matter of fact, I know I said this once, but I'm going to say it again. It should be Thummim and Urim. The Urim is the light. So the Urim is the answer to the Thummim. The Thummim is the inquiry. So like Esau does, he's turned it around in most places where you see it. There's only one place where it's going to say Thummim and Urim. But that's the reality of it. But the high priest, he has to be free of all issue and anything of that uncleanness, you know, because when he goes in to the Holy of Holies, he cleanses, you know, he washes himself and he changes garments. He takes them garments he had off and put on these other garments. But before he does that, he has to, like, you know, he has to clean himself, right? He can't be having any issue. I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? He has to be clean. You know what I mean? And you figure too, right, that the high priest and the priesthood, I mean, none of them can be offering any offerings and be unclean. They got to be clean. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, that's just without question. And they're going to be in harmony with Yah. I can't see them, you know, basically having any coals or any kind of stuff that we get, some of us get now. You know what I'm saying? That ain't going to exist. And you know, as far as I see it, when we get over there and our blood gets cleansed, right? And that's going to continue to go on until eventually I look at everybody on the face of the earth, blood will be cleansed. Everybody that's left from the nuclear wars and whatnot, right? The people who will be left on this earth, you understand, after the last battle, they'll all be, you know, their blood will be cleansed, and you'll just get, everybody will be holy. The whole earth will be holy. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm presumptuous. I'm not trying to be, you know, that's just how I see it. The whole earth will be holy eventually, and everybody left on it. You know, so disease and sickness won't exist. Okay. What's that? Praise Yah, Othniel, and Yah bless you as well in your household. You see that the new Edomite prime minister came in immediately dropping bombs. Well, again, you know, Yah mentioned that yesterday, this morning we was talking about it. She mentioned, you know, but again, that's lapid. And, you know, you know, Netanyahu is running for prime minister again. So you know what his thing is in the Likud block. You know, you ain't being tough enough on these terrorists. Yeah, you know, time to mow the line. You understand? So they go in. I mean, we laughing. It's really not that we got to laugh to keep from crying. But, you know, you get my drift. That's the mindset they take. And again, we have to remember why this is happening to our brothers and sisters, the so-called Palestinians. They're in idolatry. And it's not going to be till they come out of that idolatry they're in. I don't care whether it's Christianity or Islam. But like I said about Shireen Abu Akleh, right? She was a Christian. You follow me? So she had no protection. You follow me? And you got many of our brothers and sisters over there. They're not Muslim, they're Christian. Then you got the majority of them is more likely in Islam. But this is why this is happening to them. But this is why, again, Yah has got the sword bearer, right? The Edomites doing these things to them because they're in idolatry. And again, when we look at the one chapter of Bible, right? And Yah says, again, as I said before, it's going to say he made the house of Jacob 4:5, but it should say and did say initially the house of David, because that's the message, that's the movement of the Creator, right? The house of David 4:5, that's the word, right? Is the fire. That's our weapon, is the truth, right? We smite the earth with the rod of our mouth, we slay the wicked with the breath of our lips. So the house of David is the fire. And then what does it say? The house of Yahweh for a flame. That's descendants out of Ephraim and Manasseh, correct? Okay, so now the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in that fire, that flame. You follow what I'm saying? Because it's the word that fires up our brothers you understand, out of the house of Yahoseh, you know, out of Ephraim and Manasseh, they're the ones who's going to actually put the killing, you understand, on the descendants of Esau. You understand what I'm saying? When Yah runs them out of the land of Israel into their land, the land of Edomia, Seir, Basra, right? Yeshaya chapter 33, 34, 35, right? In the one chapter of Bible. And when that happens, the descendants out of the house of Yahoseh, out of Ephraim and Manasseh, they have to have turned to Yah. You understand what I mean? They will have to have turned to Yah and be about Yah. And we see this in Hosea 14:8. What does it say? They're going to say, right? Let me read it to you verbatim. I'm going to Hosea 14:8, right? And Ephraim shall say, what have I to do any more with idols? I have heard him, I have observed him. I am like a green fir tree. From me is thy fruit found. Okay? Now, you see what verse 9 says, but who is wise and he shall understand these things? Prudent and he shall know them. These is questions, right? For the ways of Yah are right, and the just shall walk in them, but the transgressors shall fall in them, right? Okay, so now it says Ephraim here. Now, some think when it says Ephraim, right, it's talking about the 10 tribes. Now, it could be encompassing some of the other tribes of the 10 as well, right? Now, when we go to 13th chapter, Hosea, you see what's at the top? When Ephraim spake trembling, he exalted himself in Israel. But when he offended in Baal, he died. Now, we went back here, you understand, last night, and we looked at Jeroboam. He's an Ephrathite. He's out of Ephraim, right? He was given the 10 tribes to be governor over the 10 tribes. But we see he soon, you understand, as it tells us, when it was time for all Israel to go up to Jerusalem to worship Yah, he got afraid, right? Thinking, as it says in the book, that if the 10 tribes that he was made governor over went up to worship Yah, they would come back and kill him. But that was stupid. You understand what I mean? That's just some perverseness in him, because Yah chose him to be governor over the 10 tribes. So why would you think that? You understand what I mean? But that's when the 10 tribes went away from Yah, right? Jeroboam set up the calves in Samaria, and the 10 tribes has basically been gone per se to this day. Now, I would say, the way I see it, it's got to be descendants out of Ephraim and Manasseh, without question, that have turned to Yah already. And they're boning up. Because again, when it says here in verse 8 in chapter 14, this is what Ephraim was to say. What have I to do anymore with idols? I have heard him, I've observed him. Now, who is this him? It got to be the messenger. You follow me? It got to be the seed of David that they've heard, that they've observed, right? And it sent them into the book to read, to study. And now I'm going to Zechariah chapter 10. And I mentioned this in the past, but I'm going to read it today, right? Now, I'm going to pick this up. Okay, let me just pick it from the top. Ask ye of Yah rain in the time of the latter rain, so Yah will make bright clouds and give them showers of rain to every one grass in the field. For the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain, therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled because there was no shepherd. Okay? And again, you can say this is the 10 tribes of Israel, right? No shepherd, no governor, right? My anger was kindled against the shepherds, right? That's Jerusalem. Ezekiel 16th chapter, real concise, right? My anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats, right? For now, it's got goats here. Now, I've been told, because I've never been around goats and sheep like that, but I've been told goats don't lead flocks. It's the ram of the sheep that leads the flock. Okay? So now, when it says goat, it very well is the ram, the leader of the flock, right? And again, this is Jerusalem, right? Now, again, I'm back here in verse 3, chapter 10, Zechariah, right? Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished, you can say the rams or the he-goats, you know, the leader of the flock in essence, right? For YHWH of hosts has visited his flock, the house of YHWHudah, and has made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Again, this is the government. This is the seed of David. This is the movement of the Most High, right? This is the government that the seed of David has established in captivity, right? Now, out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together. Okay? Because again, Yah's purging us, right? Preparing us, right? And they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight, because Yah is with them. And the riders on horses shall be confounded. And I will strengthen the house of YHWH, and I will save the house of YHWH. Okay? Now again, we know who consists of the house of Yosef, just like we read in the one chapter about you, right? Ephraim and Manasseh, right? And I will bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. And they of Ephraim shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yes, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice in Yah. Now, some people say this is the 10 tribes. It could have some of the other 10 tribes, but it's definitely descendants out of Ephraim without question. Okay? Because it just mentioned the house of Yosef in the previous verse. Again, which is Ephraim and Manasseh, right? I will hiss for them, I will gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries. This has got to be going on already, right? And they shall live with their children and turn again. Okay? This has got to be going on already. That's how I see it. And I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them. Now, I would say too, this happens when the Edomites get run out and judged. Like I said in the past, like ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. You have many of the 10 tribes gonna start coming back when the Edomites get run out and judged, right? Now, and he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the rivers shall dry up. Now you see this mentioned over in chapter 35 Yeshaya. And the pride of Assyria shall be brought down. That's after we get back. And the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in Yah. Right? And they shall walk up and down in Yah's name, saith Yah. Okay? Now that's what's going on now. That's what's ahead of us. See? But again, it has to be where the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh, who Yah actually works through, together with, again, the seed of David, who Yah has raised up the messenger, right? That's the fire. The word comes through him, and that's what they're saying. I've seen him, I've observed him. What if I have to do any more with idols? But before they can actually, be the instrument that Yah works through, the flame, to actually put the killing on them Edomites, when Yah runs them out of the land of Israel into their land, they gotta know, they've got to be joined to Yah, because Yah has to get the credit for that. They cannot be joined to the main idol of Christianity, or any idols for that matter, or the idol of Islam. They cannot be joined to that, because if Yah worked through them to put the judgment on the Edomites, they will give credit to their idol. And that cannot be. They have to know when they do this, and this comes to pass, they'll be uplifted and magnifying Yah, he who creates. See? So Like I said, Yah's got to be working with them as I speak. And again, you know, I'm sure different ones have heard this and they're checking, you know what I mean? They're turning or they've turned, you know what I mean? You follow what I'm saying? What's next? Okay, so you saying, you agree with what I said about the priest, but considering that there is only one high priest at a time, I was wondering how that works out, considering he has to put on that incense every morning and evening. He got to be clean, bro. Simple as that. Now, again, I see what you're saying insofar as the you know, like his wife, you know what I mean? He has intercourse, he's unclean until the even. Okay, all right. So, like, say for instance, you know, in other words, till the next day, right? Okay. So now, say he's clean, right? He gets up, and the other priest, more like possibly one of his sons, has got everything for him there, right? To put the incense on, right? That incense has to go on every day, right? I just said that, right? He's intimate with his wife, right? You see where I'm going, right? Okay, so now after he's put it on, right? Now, if he's intimate with his wife, right? During the day, like you said, right? Then after he's intimate with his wife, now he washes, he cleanses himself, right? Now he's unclean until what? Till it get dark. Then when it gets dark, he clean. You understand what I'm saying? See, so that's it. Okay? Simple as that. That's one of the things Jacob and YHWH brought to me here the other year when they was like, you know, man having more than one wife. Because Jacob was like, how can he ever get clean? If he got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 wives, how can he ever get clean? You know what I mean? And then too, when you factor in, what does it say over there in Deuteronomy? You know, if a man has one wife, right, then if he gets a second wife, he cannot diminish what he's been doing for the first wife, right? He has to keep doing the same thing he's been doing for the first wife. You understand? He gets the second wife, you know. So now you got to factor that in. Now, it probably can work with a second wife, without question. That's why we only see a law of 2 wives. But we don't see no law of 3, 4, 5, and 6 wives. See what I'm saying? And this is what Jacob let himself in for, right? When he went against the law, took 2 sibling sisters, took Raquel anyway. When he got back his deceit, he put on his father 7 years later from his uncle, right? And he was deceived. But he was so determined he wanted Raquel, he took her anyway and broke the law. You ain't supposed to have 2 sibling sisters to wife, right? So now he set all this competition and divisiveness up for himself, right? Because now here's Raquel, she all about her, she ain't really about y'all. You understand? The way I see it, Leah, she learned that law from Jacob the first 7 years he was there, or she was in love with Jacob. So she said, I'm gonna be just like he is. I'm gonna do what he do. And you know she was probably asking, how come you do this? How come you don't do that? And he's telling her, well, that's the law, yeah, that's the law, yeah, because they raised in the house of idolatry. So Leah learned that law, because she's looking for the quickest way to Jacob's heart. So she see he's all about the law, she gonna be about the law too, and make herself desirable to him. You follow what I'm saying? But he put beauty before Yah, right? That's why Solomon in the Proverbs, what did he say? Beauty is very favors the sequel. The woman that fears Yah, that's the one to be desired. You follow me? So he put beauty, because he was in love with Raquel, the superficiality of her. But her heart wasn't about Yah, right? So Yah withheld children from her, whereas Leah, you understand what I'm saying? Like I just said in the past, Jacob couldn't look at her without her getting pregnant. He couldn't walk past her without her getting pregnant. I mean, she popping out babies, boom, 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 right? So now, here's Raquel, she gonna give Yaakov Bethulah. I mean, not Bethulah, but Bilhah, right? She gonna give him Bilhah. You understand? Maybe I can bear children through my handmaid. Now he got another wife. Now he got 3. So now when Leah leave off bearing, now she like, they in competition, right? You understand? So now I'm going to give him Zilpah, my handmaid. Now he got 4 wives. You follow what I'm saying? So now you understand? That's what competition and competitiveness bring. That's why we cannot have households with this in it. Simple as that. You follow what I'm saying? And this is why, again, you understand? YHWH said to me, she said, you know, a man got 1 wife. If he get a second wife, he got to sit down and talk with that first wife. Because this has got to be amicable with her. She got to be down for this. You see what I'm saying? Because so that they can work together and be amenable, amicable. See what I'm saying? But we do see a law up in the book of 2 wives. But that's got to be an agreed situation. So they work together. It can't be like Hannah and Peninnah. Because we see Peninnah, right? We can see that Elkanah, he had that caring for Hannah, say like maybe even more than Peninnah. But he loved Peninnah too. But Peninnah, she took an adversarial stance in attacking Hannah. But we see Hannah didn't, you understand? She didn't retaliate. She just took it and humbled herself and called on Yah, right? And then we see what Yah did for her. See what I'm saying? It can't be that adversarial nonsense. That cannot exist in our houses. So if you got 2 wives, they got to get along. But this is why the first wife, you sit down and you got to discuss this with her. You follow me? Because you just can't bring a woman in there and ain't discussed it with her. You understand what I'm saying? She got to go along with that. See? Now, if the first wife is idolatrous in the sense of she wants the husband all to herself, she don't want him to have a second wife, but he desires more, then Yah will remove the first wife if this is not right in his sight. You see what I'm saying? Because we got to always acknowledge Yah in everything we do so he can direct our path. But at the same time, just because you want a second wife, you ain't supposed to be hoping that the first wife something happened to her. You understand what I'm saying? If she been upright and righteous. So again, like I said, a lot of this pettiness and jealousy and ego, you understand, all that got to be left behind. All we got to purge. That's why we in the process of being refined. We got to purge ourselves of all this, jealousies and egos and pride and arrogance and all this selfishness and stuff like that. We got to purge ourselves of that. Simple as that. Okay? That's why I've said in the past, about this love, and generally I use the term understanding, because understanding supersedes the emotion. But see, to me, involved in with that understanding is love, but it's in its proper perspective. Right? Because we love Yah, we cleave to Yah. When you look at the definition of cleave, it involves love. Right? And in turn, when we exhibit that to Yah with all our heart and soul, then we get that back from him because it's reciprocity. What's that? Okay, YHWH 1955, peace and Yah bless to you and Keturah. You say in 1 Kings 8:65-66, where you explain how all Israel was with Solomon during the feast for the 14 days, but on the 8th day he sent the people away. Well, again, it was like a big feast, and they were before the temple. They wasn't in the temple. Again, you ain't saying that, but again, all Israel took part in the festivities, right? And possibly they came up, but maybe all of them couldn't come up. Maybe they were still in their lands. Now, it says this. Remember now, we're dealing with a transliteration. Now, y'all got to, hold on.
The feast was extended. It was a feast, one of those feasts, and then the dedication. And that's what the second that after the dedication, those 8 days he sent them away.
Okay, so y'all is saying it was the feast for Feast of Tabernacles. Yeah, okay. Well, again, we know the Feast of Tabernacles. Oh, I see. Okay, I get it now. What you said the feast was for 14 days. On the 8th day, he sent them away. Okay, I was confused. I got now what you're actually saying. Now, okay, so I'm pretty sure this is in reference to the building of the temple, and that is completion. Okay, so they dedicated it for 7 days, and then possibly it went into the Feast of Tabernacles, right? And so we know the Feast of Tabernacles is 7 days, and then on the 8th day is the solemn assembly, right? You see what I'm saying? So possibly it ran into that. That's when they finished the temple right before Feast of Tabernacles. So they did the 7-day dedication of the temple, and then they ran right into the Feast of Tabernacles, right? So Yah says go to 2nd Chronicles chapter 7 verse 8. And then you can read it. It says, also at the same time Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt. And in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly. See, that's the Feast of Tabernacles. For they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. That's your answer right there. See what I'm saying? And then on the 8th day is the solemn assembly, and then he sent everybody, to their abode. Okay? See, there the answer is right there. Got it? 2nd Chronicles chapter 7 verse 8 and 9. See see, this is what I've said before to different people. That's why y'all sent Yada to me. Okay? Because she be reading. It's okay. She be reading. She popped that, you know what I mean? Because that I didn't remember off the top of my head. I didn't read it, but I don't remember everything. And she said she didn't remember, but she knows where to go look. Like I said here last month? I don't know anybody, that knows every one of these laws by heart. But the deal is, we know where to go to find the answer, right? And this is again why we counsel with those who are like-minded, those who are in the book, right? I mean, this is why the governor is called, and that what it said over there in Isaiah chapter 9. He's gonna be called Wonderful. He's gonna be called Counselor, right? You follow me? Things are established in counsel. And when you got, 2 people who are by Yah, but 2 heads is better than 1. If you got 3 people that are totally committed to Yah, then 3 better than 2, right? It just goes to stand the reason. And so on and so forth. You follow what I'm saying? But you wouldn't go counsel, if you about Yah, why you go counsel with somebody that's not about Yah? That don't make sense, right? What's that? That's it? Okay, well, that's on the first book. Okay, so again, because when I did the session, Yada said, I'm gonna read that in a minute, because Yada said, she said, the session wasn't that long. I said, yeah, but I got some things to do on the Q&A. And I never know exactly what I'm gonna do. I just trust in Yah, and he guides me and leads me to say what he wants me to say, right? Now, Rivka, peace and Yah bless, says, they seriously lost their mind. Laugh out loud. Now on Esau's news, they're saying the earth is spinning faster than it should be, and faster than usual. Yeah, I don't feel it at all right, because it's a bunch of nonsense. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's another reason again why they hit that boy Kyrie Irving. Because he came out here a few years ago and said the earth is flat. Oh, man, because I watched some of these sports shows. And this one either by Tony Kornheiser on Pardon the Interruption with Michael Wilbon, an Israelite, right? And that Tony Kornheiser, the Edomite, oh, man, he hates Kyrie Irving's guts. You follow what I'm saying? And I know, you understand, he ain't actually said the real reason why he hates to Michael Wilbon You understand what I mean? Because Michael Will about in his life, but he don't know nothing. I mean, he's totally oblivious. You understand what I'm saying? He all American. You dig? Like Stephen A. Smith. Now, when I say these things, I know many of the brothers who's in the room who in the sport, they know who I'm talking about. Some of you sisters might not. Okay? But the deal is, they slander this boy Kyrie Irving. They hate him because he came out here a few years ago and he had something derogatory to say about Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. Because his mother's a Native American. So he ain't got nothing for Thanksgiving, right? And then he came out behind that and said that the earth is flat, it's not round. You follow what I'm saying? So when he refused to take the shot, and I know he tried to get all the NBA players not to take the shot. You follow what I'm saying? Because he's like the vice president of the Players Association and the National Basketball Association, something like that. You understand? I know he tried to get all them players aligned to say, listen, if we all hold out and say we ain't taking the shot, they'll relent. But usually, we ain't gonna do that. Many of them took the shot, right? But he did. So I know they trying to get him out the game. You understand what I'm saying? Because we might not have but one more year to watch Kyrie Irving. Because once this contract that he got is up, you know what I mean? He probably will be through playing professional basketball. Unless he submits to their will, which right now I can't see him doing. You follow what I'm saying? Because they going to have all kind of stuff in the new contract where he ain't going to be able to, do what he's been doing, you know what I mean? Take the stand and keep playing. So this is probably his last year to play if he sticks to his guns, okay? Because like I said, that boy Andrew Wiggins that plays for the Golden State Warriors, like I saw him here the other month, he said he still regrets he took the shot. He relented and he took the shot. You see what I'm saying? He still say he still hates that. Okay, Yaka, you say peace and y'all bless to you as well. So what is the reason some governors' mothers are listed when they begin to reign and some are not listed? I just look at that as, Esau didn't list them. Because again, we see Esau didn't list a lot of things when he got the mindset not to. Like I said about Habakkuk, we don't see the time frame of Habakkuk. Now, it was there initially, so Esau had to take it out, right? Because all of those prophets, right, they always had a scribe and a recorder on the scene. So the scribe and the recorder is recording the dates. You follow what I'm saying? So Esau didn't want us to know when Habakkuk was on the scene, right? I mean, it's just like the book of Hadassah, Esther. We don't see any mention or alluding to the Creator any kind of way in the book of Hadassah, Esther, do we? There's no mention of Yah. There's no alluding to the Lord or God or anything like, any kind of mention of the Creator at all. Now, Mordecai, when he said to Esther, Hadassah, when he said, hey, don't think because you up there in the king's palace that you protected it and you absolved from any responsibility to aid and abetting your people in this time of dilemma, because you understand, Haman and the Amalekites done put forth this petition and then they got king to sign it to wipe us out. Now don't think because you up there in the king's castle that you ain't got to do nothing, that you saved, because Yah is just gonna raise us up salvation from another situation from someplace else, and you gonna be in trouble for not. Who's to say Yah has not put you there for that reason? Now, Mordecai communicated that to Hadassah Esther. You follow what I'm saying? And when she communicated back, she said, well, look, you understand? Me and my maidens is going to, 3 nights and 3 days, we're going to afflict our soul. And the people with you do the same thing. And hopefully Yah will hear, look down on us with mercy. Now, the name of Yah was said in the book. Esau took it out. He not only took the name of Yah out, he took any reference to the Creator, any kind of way out. See, again, that's them attacking the book. So some of the mothers is not mentioned. You understand what I mean? And they probably were, right? Especially if they did good or did right or did something at birth. All right, Yada's got to take a break so she can realign, and we'll be right. Okay, so we back. Anything else? Anybody, want to say anything or bring something out or discuss anything? Again, I see the, participants that's in the room, and it's really a blessing. Like I said, we got a lot of good people, and that are plugged in. They read, they study, they pray, they do. They worship Yah and Yah only, and that's a great thing. Everybody's not in the room today. Some can't be in, but they go and they check the website. They call, we talk, and I tell you, Yah is great, boy. I mean, I can sit here, you know what I'm saying, every day for the next 100 years and say Yah is great, and it still wouldn't be enough. You know what I'm saying? Tell you he's everything. It just goes to show you how crazy, you understand, our forefathers were. And not all of them. I mean, I'm not talking about the progenitors. I'm talking about the ones who actually, left Yah and became just totally worthless, right? Okay, Yosha, peace, bro. You said you saw Jordan Peele's new film. Yeah, I done read some stuff about it. You know what I mean? So in this film, the number 613 is repeated, and some people think this is in reference to all the statutes in the book. It very well could be. I've heard it's 613 laws. I've heard it's 619 laws. I don't know. I never counted them. But it's just like Jordan Peele, when he put in that us, right? That out of Uremia. What was that? Was that chapter 8? Uremia? I forget the chapter. He took something out of Uremia and put in that movie. You know what I'm saying? I know they've been talking about his movie, the critics, and they all say it's an excellent movie. Okay? Some got it rated 4 stars, some 3.5. You know what I mean? Right, 11, Uremia. Okay? I tell you that Jordan Peele, he's on to something. Okay, Yahshua 1955, you said Keturah is now the use of the wheelchair and has sent it back. Right. She has no use for it. Right. She no longer uses the handicap mobility car. Good. That's good. She's about 90% or more better than she was when this first happened. That's right. All you got to do is put your trust in Yah and do what you're supposed to do. That's why, again, what does it say? Wisdom, understanding, or knowledge, let it not go. Right? Once you know something, you do it. When you know better, you do better. It's supposed to be automatic with us. Right? When we know better, we do better. Sometimes you think you know the best thing, but then you can show something better, then you let what you thought was the best thing go and you latch on to the best thing. When we know better, we do better immediately. Okay, because Yah is what, he already knows, you understand what I'm saying, how we're going to act. But that's what we're supposed to exhibit. As soon as we know better, we do better. There's no equivocation. There is no, adversity. There is no, well, I don't know. As soon as we know better, we do better. The sooner the better. The quicker we do it, the better it's going to be. Okay, because we're showing our whole spirit toward Yah. Right? Okay, and you said she is about 90% better than she was when this first happened. She could not walk. Right, Yah gets the glory. She walks everywhere she goes. Right, that's good for her too. Right, right. That we all need to be praying for Yah's mercy all the time. Right, that's in my prayers all the time for everybody. That's about Yah. That's how it's one with Yah. Whatever she or myself did wrong against Yah, we have asked Yah to purge it out of us and hear our prayers, right, and put us back on track. Well, again, we on track with Him. He's the everything. This is His movement, ain't mine. Yah righteousness we plugged into Him. All of us, He got a socket for everybody that wants to plug into Him. I don't care if it's 2 billion people that want to plug into Him. He got a socket for you to plug into. Okay? And again, like it was said to me here, Yah is not the greatest. He's great because it ain't nothing to compare him to. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's true, right? He ain't so we don't say he the greatest because who you comparing to? He ain't nothing to compare to him. So he's just great, period. And he's the only one that is great. Nothing else is great but him. What's that? That's right, Rivka. He's ever merciful. And I asked him to keep that mercy for Israel, but also to keep it for any others of mankind that turn to him. I pray for them too. You follow what I'm saying? Whether they're Israel or not, if they're acceptable in Yah's sight and if they're honorable. Fatherless, widow, stranger, you know, you understand? Fatherless, widow, stranger, the wealthy, the poor, you understand what I'm saying? Whoever they might be, if they turn to Yah with a whole heart and soul and every fiber of their being, then I'm praying that Yah hears their prayers and accepts them too. Okay? Because again, you know, it's going to be other people of other nationalities, other nations that's going to be part of Yah's dominion. And if they've got that kind of mind and spirit, like I said, I met some good people who are of a different nationality. You know, just like Dr. Nailboy. He was cool. Dr. Fairchild, you know, my orthodontist, or however you call it, oral surgeon. He's a top flight guy. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, they treated me and Yada with total ingratiation. I mean, you know, hey, you understand what I'm saying? And it's been others, you know, like the Caucasian sister that used to work with Dr. Fairchild, and before him another doctor, you understand, who was Edomite. Her name is Carol. She gone now, she retired. But you understand, she was a great person. And you know, I couldn't see her without her hugging me and asking me how I'm doing. I mean, you know, you got some good people here in this world today. You follow what I'm saying? And like I just said in the past, you got Israelites who are good. You got some Israelites I don't want to be around. Okay? You follow me? You can't judge a book by its cover. Like I said in the past, you understand? One of the truest things Dr. King said, Martin Luther King, is that you cannot judge a book by its cover, but by the content of its character. Simple as that. Who's that? Okay, and say, Yah's my power. You said they are saying the American dream is over. Yeah, well, it's time to wake up. That's for sure. It's been time to wake up. So they awake now and don't like what they see. No, again, you understand what I'm saying? A lot of them want to go back to sleep. That's why my heart was sad, you know, back there on July 12th at the repast. And these same people, a lot of the same people that was at the memorial that June was at the repast, and I'm standing there, and they all sitting down, a bunch of sisters. Like I said, a bunch of these sisters I've been knowing since, you know, middle to the late 60s, early 70s. I've been knowing them a long time. And they've been knowing, you know what I'm saying? And they know what I'm about. I know they do. But none of them didn't want to really hear it. They wanted me to start talking about it without them pushing the button. And again, I just felt bad for them because they sat there with this smugness, right? This somewhat arrogance. And I wanted to say something. I felt like Jeremiah. You know, like Jeremiah said, the word of Yah was burning in my heart. You know, I wanted to say, but it wasn't going to do no good on them because they really, you know, they didn't want to hear it. Like I said, it was only one person there, the brother. He kept like, you know, he pushed the buttons and we talked. I know about a good hour. Like I said, the water got warm in his hand. When his wife sent somebody else up there, he had to put that water back, get another, and tell him, say, yeah, take it on over there. Tell him I'll be over there in a little while. You know, we talked for about another 15 minutes. You know what I mean? 20 minutes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You want to tell them, you want them to know. It's not so that you get any praise. You direct them to Yah. You want them to plug in because you like them. A lot of them I like. I don't have any animosity. I'm not jealous or envious at any of them. You know what I mean? I want them to do good. I want them to experience what I see. I want them to get there. But you can't make them. You can't make anybody do what Yah wants them to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same thing with my mother. And you know I cared about her. But at the same time, it got to the place where she still wanted this, she still wanted that. Hey, I'm going shopping for what she wanted, I'm going to get it. I ain't going to tell her, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't going to get it. I mean, it was a thing or two I brought to her, and then she's like, okay, don't get it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? She was going down too, and I could see that. And, you know, I just say, okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, it wasn't any swine or anything like that, but, you know, process something or, you know, a white flour or something, you know what I mean? Hey, I just went on and got it because, you know, I tried to make her as comfortable because I could see she was going out. And again, it got to the place where I wanted to see her transition because she was suffering. You know what I mean? She was suffering and it was a struggle. You got more of a struggle for her. So I knew she wasn't going to make it. So I just did our best, and we did our best to make her as comfortable as possible. You know what I mean? Y'all was just said this morning. She said, yeah, because I was telling her about how, you know, this brother was telling me just here this week past, right? He calls. He's in New York. And he's been calling on and off for some years. He's a good brother, you know, from what I gather. And he told me about his mother. He asked me about the turpentine. And so I was telling him, he said, yeah, man, my mother, he said she, you know, she got the cancer, right? And he had told me that before. And he says, you know, she vomited the other morning and a parasite came out. He could see it in the toilet. You know what I mean? Parasite in the stool, swimming around. He could see it. Worm, maggot. And I said, well, you know, get her to take the turpentine. He said, brother, she ain't going to do it. And it wasn't anything I could say behind that. I could tell what he said, she ain't gonna take it, bro. And I said, hey, you know, man, she ain't gonna do it. Because he told me, he said, you know, we pray sometime together. He said, and at the end of the prayer, I thank Yah and she thanked JC. See? So, what can you do? And it's heartbreaking. You follow what I'm saying? It's heartbreaking. You know, now the thing about my mother, she was about Yah, you know, she called on Yah and this and that, but, you know, she turned as far as she could because she didn't come into Yah until late. And again, she was like about 65 when she started reading the book. And some of these people, matter of fact, well, some of the people, most of the ones I've been knowing, you know, most of them that was there at the repast and that was there at the memorial back in June, they are all like 70, 71, 72. 73. You know what I'm saying? So I'm older than I am. All right? We all right around there together. So now, you know, I'm not going to say I know for certainty none of them is reading, but it don't look like it. Like I said, one of them there, she's older than me, and she's a friend to YHWH. I brought that to her. I said, yeah, because, you know, when we saw each other at the funeral home, she came over and hugged me, and she, you know, gave me a good hug. I gave her back a good hug, and she said something. I said, yeah, I seen you a friend of YHWH, and she just laughed, okay? But she's still going to the church house, okay? She's still involved in the church house, so, you know, she ain't really totally committed, but she's not, doesn't have any animosity that she shows, you know. So, but what can you do? So, and when I say that, the answer to that, to my own question, right, is do what we do. Be totally committed, submitted, magnify Yah, being about Yah with all our heart and soul. And like I said, when the Edomites get judged, and that can happen tonight, and that can happen in the next 24 hours. That can happen at any time now, okay? When the Edomites get judged, that's what's going to humble the illuminated Edomite that controls this and controls the land. I look at it, the head of the house of Rothschild. You follow me? That's what's going to humble him, and he's going to make peace with Yah and his movement, and he's going to cause the vineyard of red wine to take root. Yeshaya 27. That's what's going to bring the monarchies. Those monarchies definitely that's been sprinkled with the publication that Yah has been working on since they were sprinkled. Again, Yeshaya chapter 41, right? So they're going to come and get the movement of the Most High. And as it said, they're going to bow down at the soles of our feet. You follow what I'm saying? In reverence to Yah, you follow me? And his arm, his movement. And when that happens, and when they come to get the movement of the Most High, to bring it to Yah, 7:13 Daniel, that's when the people of the earth, again, what does Yah say in 52 Yeshaya? The whole earth, everybody on the face of the earth is going to see when Yah brings again Zion. Because that's Yah's anointing and consecration by his holy name in the sight of everybody on the earth. Because this is the king returning to Jerusalem, and he hasn't been in Jerusalem in over 2,600 plus years. Right? Because like I said, he couldn't have been there when Joshua was being raised, because Joshua wasn't raised in the law. Right? So that, again, the priesthood, they wasn't about the law. So Joshua wasn't raised in the law. Joshua was born in 649. So Yah was gone then. I mean, he tells us he had forsaken his house in chapter 12 of the book of YHWH, right? And YHWH started prophesying in 628. So I look at Yah, he ain't been in Jerusalem in well over 2,600 years. So that's why everybody on the earth has to bear witness to the king's return. Okay? Simple as that. So anything else y'all want to talk about? Because again, you cannot expect them to tell us the truth in the news media over here. Okay? About the financial situation, about the situation in the Ukraine, right? And those of you who've been monitoring the drought, right? The drought is big time over here, over in Western Europe. France is in a major drought. I think I read that article in the session today. See? So again, Yah is drying up the water like he said. Yeshaya chapter 42. He dried up the herbs like he said. Because food and water is becoming a premium. Okay? So Yah is at work. And we can see that, those of us who've been sick. But again, Yah's our hope. He's our strength. He's our shield. He's our salvation. And he alone is salvation. Nothing else is salvation. Okay? Right there, Rivka. Okay, Rivka, you said you feel as if YouTube is specifically targeting Yah Righteous 2020 sessions, which are blessed. The prophetic and the fulfillment of illumination. Yah is the greatest. Again, he's the great. He ain't the great because it ain't nothing to compare him to. He's just great. Ain't nothing to compare him to. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing else great but Yah. So he's great. Nothing else is great. Nobody else is great. He's great. Right? Too late. They already tried with Sister Yakovia's page. Yah makes a way out of no way every time. Keep it on in Yah's righteousness, in Israel, all of us. Right? All of us. Because we blessed to have the knowledge of Yah. I know all of you come in contact with others of us who have no knowledge of Yah. You know what I mean? Or they act like they have no knowledge of Yah. Right? I mean, it's a blessing to have this knowledge that Yah has given us. And to be able to see this picture that is presented by the Book of Remembrance, right? To see it basically in its totality, in depth. But again, I know it's still things that we still don't actually understand, because Yah is still going to be revealing things to us, and that's okay. But we're where we're supposed to be now. You know what I mean? And we're growing. That's the beauty of it. We're taughtable. We still can learn. Right? And we always want to be able to learn. Like I said in the past, if we get to be 1,000, we want to be able to learn. You see what I'm saying? However old we get, you know. You say, okay, Zakiya, you say they on Twitter they call the Edomites apartheid liars. Yeah, well, again, say we getting close, yeah, because they got to be called the borders of wickedness. And the way they acted right now, they you know, it's right in harmony with that. It got to be seen as that, so that when Yah actually does judge them, right, runs them out of our land into their land and makes them like the burners alive, it won't be nobody to say, oh man, why that happened to Israel? Now they gonna know. They definitely ain't Israel. Like I said to all of you in the past, what Ben said to me years ago when you know, he set up the fifth dynasty and he took just flyers to Europe, right? He went to some places he wasn't supposed to go, but again, didn't have that knowledge, the trial and error, right? And again, the fifth dynasty wasn't the movement of the Most High. We didn't know that then, but Ben told me when he got back, he said, he said, we was over there in England, and they were over there in that area of, what is it, the Piccadilly Circle or some area over there where there's a lot of people, you know, gather and whatnot. I don't think it's far from the front of the, around that castle or something where the guards stand with the big fur hats or something. But he said they was over there. He said people, you know, visitors, you know, sightseers, travelers come. He said, so they was passing out the flyer, right? And he said this little British guy took the flyer, older guy, you know, took the flyer, and Ben said he didn't notice him at first. He said he was passing the child. He said, then, you know, all of a sudden he kind of looked up once and saw he had kind of walked away, but he was in one spot. And then Ben said after a few minutes he looked up, he was in another spot. But he was walking all the way around Ben from a distance, right? And then he said all of a sudden he heard the little old guy said, it's bloody well time. It's bloody well time, for they damn sure ain't the people. Okay? Now, I tell you, it's people that know that they ain't Israel, right? The 42nd chapter, Yeshaya, right? And the isles wait for thy law. You can't be waiting on something you have no knowledge of, right? See? So it's definitely people who know. Yes, there is Edomites who know that we are Israel. You know, it was one on the internet. I don't know if he's still up there. We've seen him. He said they ain't Israel. He said it's the black people who's Israel. Who's Israel? See, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he said the black people in America, they Israelites. So you got people who know. You understand what I'm saying? The problem was we didn't know. We didn't understand. See, now you got the way of the Most High is here, right? It's just gonna burden. It's just gonna grow more and more and more. So all of us who, you know, are plugged into Yah, we're blessed to be able to get this illumination that Yah is bringing through his movement, right? His arm. Simple as that. Yah is great. And like I said before, he don't bring everything through me. He brings things through others, right? And they call and tell me because they know I'm going to tell you. You know, and I'm going to tell who Yah brought it through, because again, lets us know that Yah works through all of us. We all conduits, servants to Yah that he works through. See? But again, don't take it for granted, right? Because if you take it for granted and get out of harmony, Yah can purge you quicker than quick. See? And as I said before, I've never put nobody out the movement. I don't, I can't put nobody out the movement. That's Yah does that. Okay? And it's somehow they leave on their own accord. Okay? So, we're going to call it a session. And remember now, I can't say next week the stream is supposed to be up. But you can check it, but come to the room. If the stream ain't up, come to the room. All right? Because y'all just going to replay this next week. The session and the Q&A. And at any time you go to the stream on the Sabbath day and we're not on the stream, come to the room. Because I can't say how long we'll be on the stream. That's in Yah's hand. Okay? And Yah says you can, she gonna try to set us up on Rumble. R-U-M-B-L-E, Rumble. Okay? So if you come to the YouTube stream and we ain't on that, go to Rumble if you can find it, or come to the room first, because it'll probably be something in the room to direct you to Rumble, okay? But I'm just giving you the heads up so that you be aware, all right? So again, all you out there, y'all bless you, y'all keep you, and y'all's face shine upon all of us. All right? For y'all righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See, y'all bless everybody. Peace.